Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
The upside is huge. Downside, basically nothing.
Dan Patrick.
Keith Olbermann says the World Series has a 0% chance of being played.
All metrics is out of control. In Texas, hospitalizations doubled in the last 18 days. Florida's infections are 5 times what they were 2 weeks ago.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. How do you think history is going to view the Astros?
It depends really on whether or not baseball is played today. If they play a season, if they get to a World Series, if I'm completely wrong about that, the Astros thing will have been not wiped from history, but it will be less of an urgency.
Brought to you from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the program. It's Hour 1, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. A lot of things to dive into, some topics. You can be part of the program in a variety of ways. You can tweet, email, you can dial us up, do all the above. You can listen, you can watch, youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Say good morning to Chat Row, 877-3DP Show. Say good morning to our great radio affiliates around the country. Last time J.R. Smith played on the NBA's biggest stage, things didn't go well. You might remember that. Game 1 of the 2018 finals. Got a rebound in the final seconds of a tie game. Instead of putting it back up, he dribbled to the perimeter. Cavs didn't score, lost the game, lost the series. His then teammate LeBron James was not pleased. But now it looks like J.R. Smith gets another chance. The gift that keeps on giving J.R. Smith. Lakers will reportedly sign the veteran to replace Avery Bradley, who decided not to join the team down in Orlando. You know, maybe Smith has been given too much grief for the mental mistake in 2018. He certainly is a different personality, certainly no fan of wearing a shirt. But he's a good player. He's got championship experience, and you're looking for bodies here. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets are going to have a hard time filling up a roster here. We'll get to that in a moment. But we'll see how much J.R. Smith has left. But this move is another indication Lakers are all in to try to come out of the bubble with an NBA championship. And I started to look at what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets because at some point, does the NBA step in and say, are they a true representation of an NBA team? DeAndre Jordan and Spencer Dinwiddie both tested positive for the Nets. Jordan is not going to Orlando. That's 5 guys not going for the Nets. But they still might make the playoffs. So Jordan's the 5th Nets player to reveal that he will not make the trip. Wilson Chandler, he opted out of doing so. He wants to spend more time with his family. They have a rookie big man. Nicholas Claxton had surgery, so he's out. Kevin Durant's out. Kyrie Irving both ruled out with injuries. So Spencer Dinwiddie revealed he had tested positive for the virus, but his status is not known yet. Missing the playoffs would not be the worst thing for the Nets, though, because they owe their first-round pick to the Timberwolves, but not if it lands in the top 14. So, you know, they can reload and be ready to go next year, but I just wonder, Joe Harris is a pending free agent. I don't know how many quality players they're going to have there, and maybe the league doesn't care how many, just as long as they have a team that is representing the Brooklyn Nets. But that was the latest news yesterday. And we're looking at about 5%. With all of these leagues, and those have been tested, we saw this with the NHL, you got about 5% testing positive right now. And I think as we dip our toes into the month of July, at the end of the month, we're having hockey, NBA, and baseball. At least that's the plan right now. So, you know, you're seeing spikes with some of these college teams, with the football programs. You know, there's a lot of moving parts here, but they're going to do their best to somehow, some way plow through this. We'll come up with a poll question, stat of the day, play of the day. We'll check in with our good friend Ross Tucker. He played for the Patriots. Get his thoughts on Cam Newton going to New England. Also, there is a chance the Ivy League will forego a fall football season and play their football season in the spring. Ross, who went to Princeton, We'll talk to him about that possibility. Keep in mind, back on March 10th, what was our reaction? What was your reaction when you heard the Ivy League has canceled its postseason tournament? Oh, they're overreacting. Oh, you know what? They're not. Those aren't big revenue sports. That was the reaction. You had the tennis tournament in Indian Wells that was canceled. Then you had this. And then all of a sudden, we realized the Ivy League was ahead of the curve. And I don't know if they're ahead of the curve. They haven't made a decision. They're just thinking about springtime football in the Ivy League. So we'll talk to Ross Tucker about that. Also, he is the mayor of Flavortown, Guy Fieri. Flavortown, it feels like, is, I don't know if there's a place on the map for Flavortown. Wherever Guy Fieri is, that's Flavortown. Guy is from Columbus, Ohio. Columbus is taking down the Christopher Columbus statue. Now there is a petition being sent around, getting signatures on renaming Columbus, Ohio, where Guy Fieri is from, Flavortown. I don't know the guy or person who did this, but I love the idea. Just the fact you'd say, you know what? Maybe we change the name from Columbus to Flavortown. All right. Guy Fieri will join us a little bit later on. Yes, Paulie.
You're an Ohioan. What do you think? You want to handicap this for us? You think it's going to happen?
I don't think so. But it was a reason to have Guy on. I figure we got 4th of July coming up. Maybe he gives us some grilling tips there, and it's always good to have Guy. He's always in a good mood. So that's what we have right now. McLovin, do you have a poll question for me?
Yes, Paul has an interesting Cam Newton question.
Paul does. Okay.
But first, I want to ask, just right now, without thinking about it, I'm just going to ask you, give me your reaction like a Hall of Fame debate. Which sport is in the best shape, NFL, NBA, or MLB? So you're thinking about it.
Well, I don't know. I have doubts about the NFL. And I've said that, and I hope I'm wrong. NBA, it feels like they have a little better plan because once you get in the bubble, I got fewer players to worry about. And the deeper you go in the playoffs, it feels like the safer you're going to be. It's not exactly a hermetically sealed bubble because those working in the bubble, they get to leave and then they go home and then they come back when they're cooking or cleaning, those kind of things. So that makes me a little bit nervous, but I'd say the NBA right now. What else do you have?
Paul's Cam question is, I'll let Paul share.
Okay, so if you run the Patriots, how will you use Cam Newton? How should the Patriots use Cam Newton? As a drop back passer to protect his injuries and protect him from hits? Or use him as Cam Newton as a read option quarterback, which he is probably the best all-time read option quarterback.
This is what happens with NFL teams when they see somebody in college. They get them to the NFL and they try to change them. If I'm bringing Cam Newton in, I'm bringing Cam. He's not a drop back passer. I'm bringing in Cam Newton to be Cam Newton for as long as he can be that. It's like Lamar Jackson. He needs to improve his passing. Outside of the numbers, throwing to the far right or far left, he needs to improve that. But, I'm nitpicking a little bit here because they want to try to reduce the number of plays where he's going to get hit. But that's who Lamar Jackson is. And hopefully Lamar Jackson understands how to protect himself while still being dangerous, running and passing. If I'm bringing in Cam Newton, I'm saying to Cam, go out there and you have to be dangerous. If I'm bringing in a quarterback who's going to be maybe starting for me, I'm not bringing in Cam to be a drop back passer because I don't think he's capable of being a quality quarterback as just a drop back passer. You have him do both. Maybe you have something special here and you get a bargain for Cam Newton. Yeah, Paulie.
Cam Newton's 2 best years as a quarterback, he averaged over 8 attempts rushing a game. Yeah. His 2 best years. Some of his worst years as a quarterback is when he didn't run the ball.
Yeah, I can't just let him sit back in the pocket unless they're bringing him in to run Brady's style offense. And that is just dump off passes because he's going to go in there and realize, who am I throwing to? No wonder Tom went to Tampa. I'm gonna have to run it probably a little bit more than people expect. This program is brought to you by Traeger, that wood-fired grill. I had some tomahawk steaks on there the other night, and I was the king of the neighborhood. Cooked to perfection, thanks to Traeger. As my son said, hey, good job, but you can't screw it up on Traeger. And I said, thank you, son. I appreciate that. TraegerGrills.com/DP show to get started. Anything else, McLovin?
Okay, I have a Lakers question and an Amani Bates question. Which one would you prefer?
Let's do Lakers because I'm going to have to explain who Amani Bates is, but let's do the Lakers.
Okay, which Laker would you most want to room with if in the bubble you had roommates? I'll give you JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo, Dion Waiters, or J.R. Smith. Obviously, the caveat, J.R. Smith, you're not going to see a shirt in your room if you room with him.
Yes, Paul.
I'm a big Rondo fan, on the court, but Rondo seems like the guy, if you left the cap off the toothpaste, he would slap the floor and just go after you.
Yeah, he looks a little too serious.
Great player, big fan.
A little too serious.
JaVale seems like it's going to be a good time. It's going to be always a good time. He kind of running around, all goofy, arms flying around.
I mean, you walk in and JR's got his shirt off right away, right?
Definitely.
I feel like he's a high energy guy too, where like sometimes you just kind of feel like chilling and being quiet, and he's still going at 11. You're like, dude, just chill out.
Since they're not testing, it seems like Dion Waiters may be a fun guy to hang out with. I'm going to go JaVale McGee. I think that we could probably strike up pretty good conversation
Is this
there.
fascinating, some of the people that are on the Lakers?
Okay, if I said, hey, the Lakers one day are going to have Dwight Howard, J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, J.R. Smith, and they're going to be the favorite to win the NBA title. You're going to go, wait, who else do we have? Well, you got LeBron and you got Anthony Davis. And we're the favorites? Yes. You got JR, JaVale, Rajon Rondo, Dion Waiters, and you got Dwight Howard. But that's what you have. That's your favorite going into the bubble. McLovin, anything else? Any other poll questions?
Yeah. You want me to save Amani Bates?
Okay. He is a sophomore.
Right.
And he's one of those once-in-a-decade type recruits. At least he's been labeled that. He's been the best player in the state, I think, for a couple of years. He just committed to go to Michigan State. And
sorry about that.
He's got a couple of years, but I don't know if he's going to be going to college by the time he graduates from high school, because the rule will be gone and then he'll go right into the NBA. He's that good. By all accounts, 5-star recruit. And Michigan State normally doesn't get 5-star recruits. Their last one was Jaren Jackson Jr., but they normally don't get those marquee players. They get players that stay for at least 3 years. Cassius Winston, I think, has been there for 6. Yes, Paulie?
No offense, but they're not getting this one either.
Yeah. Well,
nope.
Figuratively, theoretically, they're getting him. I just don't know if he sets foot on campus there. Yes, McLovin.
So here's my question.
All right.
You're going to take LeBron out.
All right.
Who's the most famous high school athlete of the last 30 years? High school athlete. And I'm going by the SI cover list. And Amani Bates was on the cover when he was 15. But Bryce Harper, 16. Kevin Garnett, 17. Kobe Bryant never made an SI cover, but was a little famous. Zion was a YouTube sensation. Or Amani Bates. And is there any football player who makes that list?
Bates has 2 more years here.
Yeah, but he's made a cover.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying he's going to become even more famous.
Yeah, like LeBron kind of, right? Where his games will be on TV.
Yes.
You agree LeBron's in a different category.
Oh, yes. Because he could have played football at the professional level as well. I mean, people in Ohio knew that he was going to go right to the NBA. And I still go back to that banquet when we celebrated the Cleveland Sports Banquet, and I hosted it. And I remember that you had a couple of people said, hey, could you talk to LeBron? He's thinking about going pro. So here I'm talking to LeBron, and I said, have you talked to KG? Have you talked to Kobe? And he goes, yeah. So I think I'm giving him advice. He'd already made up his mind, but I'm saying, what's your mom say about this? Like, I was just asking simple questions because I'm thinking, seems like this guy's pretty good. He could go right to the NBA, but here he is asking me what I think about that. And I hope that I said, yeah, of course you should go. Not, the college experience can really make you well-rounded. I'd go for a couple of years if I were you. Yeah, Paul.
Tiger Woods was pretty famous in high school. He hadn't really got a lot more famous at Stanford. Was Lou Alcindor nationally famous in high school?
Yes.
I know it's a long time ago, but Herschel Walker and Marcus Dupree in the South were very well known when they joined Georgia and Oklahoma.
Lou Alcindor, that was, I think, the first press conference where you announced where you were going to school. And that's how famous Lou Alcindor was. When he announced that he was not going to go to St. John's, that he was going to go to UCLA, and that kind of shook up the whole New York metropolitan area, because they thought, if Lou Alcindor stays, that team is going to win the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's how important he was with college basketball. Yeah, McLovin.
I pulled up, along that era, the greatest high school athletes of all time, according to Max Prep. They have Jim Brown 1 and Jackie Robinson 2. And they said that Jackie Robinson had gotten a lot of acclaim in multiple sports.
Yeah, I don't remember. I wasn't old enough. Jim Brown, we had just heard that this guy was a great lacrosse player, and he was also going to play football at Syracuse. That was sort of how it was framed with Jim Brown. And then he got to Syracuse, and they, of course, had that long line of great running backs there. But I remember him being an unbelievable lacrosse player. And I didn't even know what lacrosse was living in Ohio. And then we realized, just how special he was.
Said Robinson was recruited hard in 4 different sports.
Yeah, that's why he's the greatest athlete of all time. I mean, there's no question in my mind when you say, oh, Michael Jordan's the greatest athlete. No, Jackie Robinson is. Football, baseball, basketball, track and field. And he played collegiately all of those sports. And then he goes and becomes a baseball Hall of Famer while fighting through racism. They weren't even allowing African Americans in Major League Baseball. He gets in, he's got teammates who don't even like him, and still became a Hall of Famer. So Jackie Robinson is, in my opinion, greatest athlete of all time. All right, we'll come up with a poll question. Your phone calls are always welcome. Let's see if I have anything else that I missed here. I think that's about it. How's morale, by the way?
Good. I heard there's some meat cooking later.
Yeah, we have some boneless short ribs.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But not ready until tomorrow. So it's going to be the ultimate tease where you're going to smell the ribs, and we can't have them till tomorrow. So
Mean-spirited.
Yeah, I know. That's what I am. Have we heard from anybody on the Cam Chowder T-shirts? Are we still good? We're going to go into production there, Seton.
Yeah, we're in production. I think we're good. Smooth sailing.
Cam Chowder T-shirts for you. Cam Chowder T-shirts. All right. We'll take a break. Ross Tucker will join us. What's he think of the Ivy League? Thinking about spring football. And also Cam in New England. Good fit? We'll find out next. It's 18 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Oh, if you want to learn what I've learned, you want to do what I'm doing, you have an opportunity. Full Sail University. We launched the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. What I wanted to do is teach you how to be a sportscaster. Not a broadcaster, not a communications degree. This is what you're doing. It's learning how to be a sportscaster. In front of the camera, behind the camera, podcasting, radio, everything in between. And I help with the curriculum. We designed a curriculum. And Full Sail, if we find that we want to put in a new class, a new course, we can do that. You don't have to go through a lot of red tape. You're just like, okay, this is something that students need to know. This is something different. Esports, we've talked about that. Broadcasting esports. There's so many things that you will love about this. Hands-on learning. You got a faculty real-world experience. You got people who have been in this business for decades. Full Sail University, get that bachelor's degree in about half the time, as short as 20 months. Campus is in Orlando, Florida. You can get your degree online as well. fullsail.edu/Dan Patrick. So we're workshopping this. It's this is a work in progress right now. But I'm thinking after we were on Sports Jeopardy last night, and we got to thinking, what's the next thing that we could come up with? The Al Michaels United Steaks of America, where we follow him around the country, and he talks about the steak dinner that he had. And then Fritzy said, all right, I'll come up with the lyrics, and then you could have categories, and the clues would sound something like this as I hosted. A measuring stick, Slick Rick, is this. Yes, Paulie.
What is the ruler, Dan?
That is correct. Why you should proceed with caution while rocking a rhyme. Yes, Fritzy.
It's tricky.
Yes, well done.
It's tricky to rock a rhyme. That's right on time. It's tricky.
And you do get to sing, if you're right, you get to sing the lyric.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. At Snoop's party, be prepared to do this if you bring your cups.
Beep, beep.
Yes, Eaton.
What is chip in?
Yes.
They all bought their cups, but they ain't chip in. So it's just gonna kill.
After some tomfoolery, Ice Cube's halfway home, but surprisingly hasn't done this. Yes, Paulie.
What is not thrown up, Dan?
No, that's incorrect, Paulie. Yes, Fritzy.
What is throwing up?
That is correct.
Oh, I said thrown.
What is not
Past tense.
Yeah. Rob Bass may not be known worldwide, but best be sure he can do this. Yes, McLovin.
What is rock the microphone?
That is correct.
I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock a microphone.
This clock-wearing enemy of the public suggests you don't believe the hype. Yes, Paulie.
Who is Mr. Flavor Flav?
That is correct.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
Oh, you said Mr.
I'm trying to be polite.
Wait, let me
Flavor.
check what the judges.
The judges said flavor.
Yeah,
Flav.
I put an R on the end of flavor.
you said flavor.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's
Yeah, so
incorrect.
it's incorrect. Yeah. Yes, Fritzy.
But instead of correcting that one, you have to go, yeah, boy.
This show's the best.
Bad LL Cool J threatens to do this to a muscle-bound man. Yes, Fritzy.
What is put his face in the sand?
Yes.
I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand.
You might find the Beastie Boys manager smoking dust there. Yes, Fritzy.
What is the back of the bus?
That is correct. You're
Our
killing it.
manager's crazy. He always smokes dust. He's got his own room in the back of the bus.
Tone Loc refused to give her $50 to do this. Yes, Fritzy.
I'm going to say, what is the wild thing?
You're killing it.
I need $50 to make you holler. I get
getting
paid to do the
crushed.
wild thing? He walked away from that.
Final Rap Jeopardy. La-dee-da. Fritzy's
No,
against
lottie-dottie.
La-dee-dottie.
We like to party.
Fritzy's against it, but Slick Rick puts on his Gucci these. Yes, Fritzy.
What is underwear?
That is correct. That
I
is
put on
correct.
my brand new Gucci underwear for all the girls I might take home. I got the Johnson's baby powder and the Polo cologne.
This show is going to crush. This is going to be great. And the fact you get to sing the lyrics. And we'll leave you this with this one. Sorry, ladies, Snoop doesn't love you, and he's leaving through this. Yes, Fritzy.
What is the dough? I'm out the dough.
Cam Newton used to be excellent at throwing the deep ball, but not recently. Here's some numbers since 2015 on passes more than 20 yards downfield. In 2015, 2016, his MVP season, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions when he completed passes, through passes of 20 yards or more. 2017 through 2019, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Now, he was injured for most of 2019 and barely played. I just don't know if you bring in Cam Newton, go, hey, Cam, sit in the pocket and let's see what you can do. This is not an offense that's, I think, ready for Cam Newton to be that. He's not Tom Brady. You know, Tom had to sit back there. Cam Newton, if I'm bringing him in, I'm bringing him in, and hopefully he's Cam Newton, that, reasonable facsimile of 2015, 2016. Former NFL player, played for the Patriots, and all-around good guy, Ivy Leaguer. He's Ross Tucker, who joins us on the program. I'll give you the official introduction. The Ross Tucker podcast, you can check out Ross's YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Let me start with Cam Newton there, Ross. Good fit for both Cam and the Patriots?
Well, I think, Dan, it's an awesome move by the Patriots, just in the sense that there's almost no risk and there's a ton of upside and potential reward. I mean, all we're hearing so far is that he's making up to $7.5 million, which leads me to believe it's actually a lot less than that. So it sure as heck is worth a chance from the Patriots' perspective. But I had Andrew Brandt on my podcast today. He's not even sure Cam Newton ends up making the team when you look at the contract he has. Now, I think he's on the team, but I got crushed by people on social media when I said I don't think it's a lock that he's the starter. I mean, first of all, Dan, Belichick never looks at things from just a one-year time horizon. And so if you think about it, if it's even close between Stidham and Cam, he'd rather go with Stidham and have the young, cheap, healthy kid for years to come. Secondly, speaking of health, if Cam were as good as everybody's saying he is, right? Everybody's got all this excitement the last couple of days. I understand it. But if the Carolina Panthers thought that Cam Newton could be the Cam Newton of 2015 or the first half of 2018, they wouldn't have cut him, Dan. I mean, they wouldn't have cut him making $18 million to give Teddy Bridgewater more than $20 million a year. Or Ron Rivera, if he thought Cam could be the same guy, he would have been pounding the table. Hey, let's bring him in along with Haskins to give us another option. He didn't do that. So that says a lot to me.
How do you think the Patriots will and should use Cam Newton?
Well, I think that's probably the most intriguing aspect of this whole thing, right? Is because he is sort of the polar opposite of what they've been doing the last 15 years. It's been primarily dink and dunk from the pocket. Cam's strength is the deep in routes, the deep digs, and running the football. So how early in training camp, Dan, do they start to implement those things when they don't know for sure it's going to be Cam instead of Stidham or Brian Hoyer or whatever? But that's what I think you would see from New England. I don't think they brought him in to not run the ball. If he can't run, and I had Booger McFarland say this to me on my show on Monday, if he can't run, I just don't think he's that valuable. And it's a one-year deal. I think at this point, whether he can run the way he used to or not, Dan, the Patriots are going to run him because they have to. And Cam's going to run because he's not as effective if he doesn't. And that's his best chance to get a big-time $100 million deal. Maybe he can be this year's Tannehill. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just don't bring him in. It's like drafting somebody and then saying, we don't want you to play the way you did in college. We want to change you. The beauty of what we saw with Cam when he went to Carolina is Carolina adapted to Cam and made it comfortable for him coming in. You know, Belichick can design all kinds of offensive schemes here, and Josh McDaniel the same way. I'm with you. I got to find out what I have with Jarrett Stidham. Unless they've found out what they have, and now they're willing to bring in Cam and say, let's have some competition. Maybe Cam Newton's our future and not Jarrett Stidham.
I think it's all about options, and Cam gives them another option, extremely inexpensive. I mean, why not? Why not bring in Cam and see what he can do? But you got to remember this too, Dan, and I know you know this, and I know it from my time in New England. Belichick doesn't really care about how big of a name a guy is when he brings him in. I mean, think about all the guys over the years that went there and were never heard from again. Albert Hainsworth, Torrey Holt, John Lynch, Reggie Wayne, Joey Galloway, Chad Johnson. I mean, over the years, the Patriots always get these big names. Like, oh, Patriots did it again. Patriots. But then a lot of times, look, some of them worked out. Corey Dillon, Randy Moss, some of them worked out. But a lot of them, that's where their careers went to end. That's where their careers died.
If we're talking to Ross Tucker, if you had a chance, you were a free agent, you could play for the Patriots next year or the Buccaneers? Who would you want to play for?
Without any hesitation, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, first of all, Dan, I think you know me by now. I'm just going to go to whichever team gives me the more money because that's what I'm playing for.
Money's the same.
Money's the same. I'm going to Tampa because I think that they have a legitimate chance to go to the Super Bowl and win it. You know, I've said this to people before. I played for 5 teams, bunch of different quarterbacks. When our quarterback was Drew Bledsoe in Buffalo, we thought we were going to win, right? When my quarterback was maybe some of the other guys I had, they'll remain nameless, you kind of hoped you would win. When my quarterback was Tom Brady in New England, you freaking know you're going to win. Even when you don't, you know you're going to win. And so that immediately transfers to Tampa Bay. I don't care if they're down by 10 to the Saints in the third quarter, fourth quarter. All those guys in the Bucs look over. They see number 12. We're going to win. We have Brady. And I don't care what my guys like Devin McCourty and Matt Slater say. They get to the fourth quarter, and we'll see if it's Cam or something. But if it's Stidham and they look over, man, I hope this kid has it in him. And I'm just saying that permeates throughout the entire locker room, huddle, organization, everything. I think people in Tampa are going to play better. I think people in New England are going to play worse. And I think Brady's a big factor in that.
Do you have the list of quarterbacks that Ross blocked for?
Yeah, I'll name names. Tony Banks, Chad Hutchinson, Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady.
Okay.
So one of those, I was a groomsman in his wedding. So I would not point out that he was one of the ones that we were hoping he would win. If you want me to throw somebody under the bus, I'll go throw Charlie Fry under the bus. Charlie Fry was kind of a we're hoping, right? Let's be honest. In Cleveland, Charlie Fry was kind of a we're hoping guy.
You are an Ivy League guy, as you like to remind us. There's talk, a possibility of maybe spring football for the Ivy League. What do you think of this possibility?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the one thing I can almost guarantee you, Dan, is that whatever the most cautious or safest option, that's what the Ivy League is going to do. I mean, we know they were the first one to cancel the basketball tournament.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny looking back on it, how much criticism they got for that. And then the whole world canceled like 2 days later. But if they feel like there's any threat at all, they're not going to get these guys in that type of risk. And the thing that's unique about the Ivy League is they already don't let them go to the FCS playoffs. So the Ivy League title is already the be-all, end-all. So if they played in April, May, you know, that's basically what their season is. It's not like, oh, now we can't play North Dakota State in the semifinals. They can't go there anyway. So it actually works. The thing I find interesting about it is there have been more and more Ivy League guys in the NFL recently, guys getting drafted. I mean, every year, I think Princeton had 3 or 4 guys the last couple of years. What happens if the NFL drafts in the middle of your season? You know, what happens if you get drafted 5 games in, you get drafted by the Bears in the 6th round, and like you still have 5 more college games to play? I mean, it's a unique scenario to say the least.
It's good to talk to you, Ross. Do you think the NFL season starts on time?
I do. I think obviously it's all dependent on the next 4 weeks, the next 6 weeks, and what happens with baseball and the NBA. Right now, I do think it starts on time. My concern is whether or not they're able to finish the season. Everybody watching, listening, please wear a mask. We need football. I need football. Make it about me. I need football this season. Please, everybody.
I'm going to make this about you. The Danettes, they have had discussions here of who has physically the biggest head who's been on this show since we started Zooming. Paulie, where do you think Ross Tucker ranks?
He's the Michael Jordan of big
Whoa.
heads. It's not even really that close.
Okay. Fritzy?
I got to go with Ross. I know he's zoomed in a little bit, and he's trying to sit back as we're saying this, but big head for
McLovin?
Ross.
Are we talking like metaphorical? Like he's got a big head?
No,
he's
figuratively.
Oh, yeah, it's Ross.
Yeah. Seton?
Yeah, I got to go with Ross.
Ross, do you have an 8 head?
I do. I have a very large head, Dan. And I got to tell you, it's a legitimate factor for me in my career in the media. I actually lift my neck muscles twice a week because I don't want to look like a bobblehead when I'm on Dan Patrick's YouTube show, right? Like your neck to head ratio in life is very important. So I lift my neck multiple times a week just so I don't look like a bobblehead when I'm on with you.
Your head doesn't fit on my screen. There you go. There you go. Now you just look like a bobblehead. You couldn't have the Ross Tucker bobblehead because it would tip over.
Okay.
All right,
No, I got a lot of brains in there, Dan.
Yes,
I
you
didn't.
do.
I went to a real Ivy League school, not Dartmouth like McLovin. You know what I mean? I got a lot of brains that got to fit in there.
Wait, who won the Ivy League title this year? You call the game.
Yeah, it's because they're able to get people in McLovin that wouldn't be able to get into Princeton. That's how it works. Congratulations.
He's Ross Tucker, former NFL player, host of the Ross Tucker podcast, and his YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Great to see you, Ross. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, Dan. Anytime.
That's Ross Tucker, friend of the show. Nate in New York joins us. Hey, Nate, what's on your mind?
What's up, man? Long time listener, 5'11", and athletic 215.
All right.
Listen, as far as Cam Newton goes, I was thinking, like, don't you guys think it's a great fit because he does the dink and dunk thing and the occasional long ball pass? And as far as being inside the 10-yard line, instead of having to worry about the QB sneak at the one with Tom Brady, like everybody else was used to, you have to be prepared for it within the red zone with Cam Newton now because he can run. Instead of the QB sneak, you got to worry about the RPO.
Yeah, and thank you, Nate. I don't know how many completions the Patriots had last year of over 20 yards, but Cam likes to throw the deep ball. It's nice to have somebody to throw the deep ball to, and I think that's why you had a dink and dunk in New England. Plus, keep in mind, the majority of Cam Newton's touchdown runs are from 2 yards or less. It's a different kind of quarterback sneak. He goes up and over. Brady would go down low with the quarterback sneak. Yes, McLovin.
Yeah, the receivers, we were just talking about it on this side of the glass. Julian Edelman, possession guy. Mohamed Sanu, possession guy. N'Keal Harry, possession guy. Jacoby Myers, I don't think he's a speed burner. Like, they have no one to go deep. Wasn't that a theme last year?
Yeah.
So that feels like that part is a weird fit.
I mean, this is why Brady is kind of defying, what is supposed to be common sense and you shouldn't be working out. He's probably looking around going, this is great. I got guys who can go deep. I want to go out here and throw footballs to them every day.
Mike Evans?
Oh, yeah. Just start there with Mike Evans because he's on the short list of best receivers in the game.
That tight end group is ridiculous.
Yes. And then you put Chris Godwin in there. It got to be Brady's got to go. Why? So this is what quarterbacks have. They get these kind of weapons there. His receivers can make him look good, as opposed to Brady would normally make his receivers look good. And I think that could be reciprocated this year in Tampa. Yes, Paul.
But now there's a downside for Tom Brady. If he doesn't play well this season, it will be because of him. They do have a good offensive line down there, and they added offensive line. They've got tons of receivers.
They have a decent offensive line.
Okay. I guess what I was saying is
decent.
If he's inaccurate this year, doesn't pass well,
of
course, they'll still blame the wide receiver core.
No, this would be Brady. This would be, it's the offensive line is a concern. It's a work in progress, but he's got weapons. Yes, Eden.
I do like that for at least a brief moment, it flipped to how badly Bill Belichick needs to win this year because of his record without Tom Brady. Like, that is, what is it, that he has a losing record? I forget exactly what the numbers are, but without Brady playing, Belichick has a losing record, and that sort of the idea is people have this flipped a little bit, that this is more about Belichick's legacy without Brady rather than Brady without Belichick.
Yeah, and I don't believe in either one of those. They've established their legacies, but Belichick I don't think he cares about any of this stuff. Brady cares about it. I think it's because his career is right now. He's got what's he have, 2 more years maybe at the most, it feels like, and he's got to win now. Belichick he'll coach as long as he wants to. Patriots last season had 62 pass completions of 20 yards or more, tied for 4th most in the league. So they did throw the ball down the field. I sit corrected here. Tampa led the NFL in pass completions of 20 yards or more with 75 last year. I'm guessing that number's probably going to be around that because Jameis Winston can throw a good deep ball. And he's got a better arm than Brady. But Patriots, I'm surprised with the 20 yards or more. Fourth most in the league. All right, we'll take a break. More phone calls coming up. And we got our play of the day coming up next here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Fellas, today is Michael Phelps' 35th birthday. Been around forever. I think he was in the Olympics at age 15 or something like that. Here he is at his peak.
Wow.
After just dominating somebody. Now, here is Michael now, the retired Michael Phelps, with his lovely family in their pool. And I don't know where that is, Arizona or something like that. So I was thinking, you know how when like John Bon Jovi goes to a wedding, people ask him to sing, or Kevin Bacon, they ask him to dance. Do you think when Michael Phelps goes to like a backyard pool party in the neighborhood with all the other families, a lot of pools probably in a nice neighborhood he lives in, did the dad say, "Hey, Mike, I'll hop in and
little butterfly stroke,
a couple butterflies"?
Show us how you made that turn.
Yeah. How about you give me a 10-yard head start? Do you think he dreads going to neighborhood pool parties?
Well, if he might show up with his Olympic medals around his chest, maybe in a Speedo, then I would say you got to get in the pool.
So make a statement. But he probably wears a pair of slacks and a nice shirt.
You know what's funny too is that there's probably in his neighborhood, you know how there's always that one guy who tries to like alpha everybody?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, Jim, take it easy. Whatever. He just like brings over the potato salad, and when you open it up, it's like, oh, there's that medal I was looking for.
Right. It's stuck in the salad.
Yeah, he just accidentally reminds everybody that, I'm kind of a boss. Yeah.
That guy has the swim goggles on, so
Right.
he's in the pool when Phelps gets there, and he's practicing his turn.
Wait, he's got board
He's
shorts
got
on.
he's got his cap on, name on it.
Right.
Hey, Mike.
His arms are all tan, but his chest is all white.
Right.
That guy.
Let's see what you got.
Phelps wants no part of that guy.
Body shaved. A prep star in Pennsylvania, originally committed to playing football at Rutgers, and then he came to his senses and decided to go play for a real football school, Penn State. After 3 years of college football, Barkley entered the NFL draft and launched thousands of think pieces on drafting running backs. He's known for his ability as a receiver and blocker, but failed to throw even a single halfback option in his rookie season. I'm just saying, Odell Beckham threw 2 touchdown passes last season. Please welcome Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley joining us on behalf of Old Spice All New Fresher Collection, featuring 5 new body washes and real benefits forged by real ingredients like moisturization and exfoliation as well. It's good to meet you, Saquon. How are you?
You're doing really good. You said it best. You said it best there.
Did you think you were going to get a nice introduction there? Did you think we were going to talk about all the positives? It's like a roast here a little bit.
No, I can't. I did not expect that at all. I did not expect the positive stuff. So you got me a little bit there.
Okay, but I'm treating you like a rookie.
Of course, I have to.
Now, who hazed you the most? What's the worst hazing you got by the Giants this year?
To be honest, I'm lucky. I didn't really get anything crazy whatsoever. Probably just like, hey, Rook, do this, do that, but nothing like, some guys have to pay for a whole bill, and the vets just like
wait. So your hazing consisted of, hey, Rook?
Yeah, like, hey, Rook, like Eli told me one time, like,
are you gonna survive? Did you survive that with somebody calling you, hey,
yeah.
Rook? Wow,
I think
you are really mentally strong.
Yes, trust me.
Yeah.
You see the Denver guys? Like, the Denver guys got to cut their hair.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad for them. So that's why I say, like, I'm fortunate. I'm blessed to have the best I had.
What did Eli say to you?
Just stuff like, I remember one time we had, like, we were having an argument, and he was like, "If I say it's this because you're a rookie." And I'm just like, "All right, Eli, you got that." So
Wait, why were you arguing?
Well, I think it was something like it had something to do with Easter. Easter eggs. It was the most random conversation.
Well, it had nothing to do with football.
Nothing to do with football. Nothing. No, actually. So I was saying something coach said in the meeting, and he was like, "No, coach said this," and I was like, "No, coach said this," and he was like, "Listen, if I tell you if it's Easter, go paint some eggs." So that was like his Easter joke. So that was like the worst of my rookie year hazing. And so, like I said, some guys got to cut their hair, get left with bills. You can't tell like dinner bills. You can't tell when you travel. You can't tell vets your room number because when they order this stuff, they'll just say put it on this room. So I kind of finessed my way, and technically you're still a rookie to the fourth game of the regular season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's how the vets treat it. That's what they told me. So hopefully I don't give them any ideas. So hopefully I just stay safe.
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
With the first pick in the 1993 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Chris Webber. A golden moment for the 20-year-old Chris Webber.
NBA TV 27 years ago, the Magic selected Chris Webber. Orlando ended up trading Webber to the Warriors for Penny Hardaway and 3 future first-round picks. Do we know who those first-round picks turned out to be, McLovin? I was told when Penny worked out, Penny blew people away, how great he was. And he had injuries, and we never really saw the full potential of Penny Hardaway. But he had a workout that was an all-timer, from what I'm told. Yes, Paulie?
Okay, the Orlando Magic traded 3 first-round draft picks. The 96 first-round draft pick was Todd Fuller, big man, I think out of NC State. The 98 first-round draft pick got shipped to Toronto and became Vince Carter.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And then the 2000 first-round pick. Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't think it matters who the other pick was.
It doesn't help. Mike Miller, who had a nice NBA career.
Yeah. I'm surprised LeBron didn't reach out to Mike Miller, see if he wanted to join the Lakers. Yes, McLovin.
I read Todd Fuller's name recently. The Warriors GM was quoted as saying, "We don't think Kobe's ready for the NBA. We're going to take Todd Fuller."
That was the draft pick?
That's they took him in 11, I believe. I'll double check this. Does that sound right? 96 for Kobe? Yeah. So Todd Fuller, I think, went 2 picks ahead of
Oops.
Kobe.
Oops. So they could have had
I'll double check
Kobe
that.
and Vince Carter.
They needed some low post help. They wanted a big man to defend. They stand by the decision.
That reminds me of when you told David Kahn not to take Johnny Flynn, and then Steph Curry went right by
I
him.
know. I was like, what? You got to take Steph Curry? Play of the day brought to you by LegalZoom. You can start online. Their network of independent attorneys, they provide advice when you need it the most. Since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. You don't get billed by the hour. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. Warren in Ohio, not to be confused with Warren, Ohio. Hey, Warren.
Hey, 5'11" on a good back day, 5'6" when my bad back kicks in. And I'm weighing in at a really unattractive number, so we won't go there.
All right.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, men known as Danettes. Hey, I want to stretch the idea of the Ivy League football in the spring a little bit.
Okay.
It has always been my idea that the college football season should be in the spring, and the college baseball, we flip the script and put them in the fall. Let them start in late August and play their seasons. Let the football guys play in the spring. It gives those college coaches a chance to spend Friday night at a football game in Ohio, recruiting and scouting, and not interfere with their playing schedule. We get the same thing with baseball. The coaches get a chance to send their scouts out or to go to the games themselves to take a look.
Yeah, I don't know how important that is. And thanks for the phone call, Warren. But the whole spring idea, keep in mind the Ivy League they're playing each other. And they don't have playoffs, They know a start date and an end date. Man, they have a few out-of-conference games, but they would probably do spring football, and it'd be just against one another. And you would just have an Ivy League title, and that would be it. I don't know if we're going to be any better in the spring or we're going to be worse, but I think that's what is happening right now. That, it feels like everything's on the table. And the Ivy League is not afraid to shut down a sport or sports and not afraid to try something new. And I applaud them for at least thinking of that. And they could pull this off. If you had football right after the Super Bowl, let's say March and April, Ivy League football was going to be on, you'd watch it. You watched the XFL and you didn't know anybody in there. You'd watch Ivy League football. I mean, strategically, from a marketing standpoint, it could be great. I don't know, with classes and those who might be getting drafted going into the NFL or, going to combines and things like that, it might be a little tricky. But if you started right after the Super Bowl, you would have a 2-month window where you're playing football and you'd be the only game in town. Yeah, McLovin.
I love Ivy League football, but this idea that coronavirus provides these windows for these sports to become popular, I don't know if it changes our viewing habits. Like, nobody I know has watched Korean baseball, and it's had this whole window.
I think they're watching. I think they're watching Korean baseball in the mothership because they put it in, a good spot, and they moved Mike Greenberg's show. They kind of preempt that a little bit. They bounce it back, and they put Korean baseball in there. So instead of having their flagship show Get Up, they're moving that back to bring you Korean baseball.
I mean, it's the same as
people will watch Ivy League football.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, well, has NASCAR's ratings stayed high from the beginning? I'm actually asking.
More people will watch Ivy League football in the spring than they do in the fall. Would you agree with that?
Nah. I don't think anyone. I don't know. I don't think people are going to be.
If people aren't watching it in the fall now, they can't watch less.
Like an Ivy League football game, I watch sometimes. They do Friday night games on NBCSN a few years ago and ESPN lately. I tune in because I like all college football, but if it's mixed in with 40 other college football options, you're not going to watch.
That's why we watch when you have the MAC football. We're watching it on a Tuesday night. You're watching MACtion, right?
You definitely watch MACtion.
Yeah, but it's because it's on Tuesday or Wednesday. You're not going out of your way on a Saturday to go, who's Kent State playing? Hey, Miami of Ohio is playing. By the way, Seton brought this up, and I forgot all about it. Back in January, Miami of Ohio canceled a men's and women's basketball game, one game, because they were concerned about the coronavirus. Now, they eventually started playing again, but that was back, was it late January, Seton?
Yeah, I don't have the date right in front of me, but it was like January 22nd, maybe 25th, something like that. And then eventually, after just not very long, I guess, they missed one game, I think, and then they said, oh, well, it's just a false alarm.
Yeah.
So that was January, and then if you fast forward to March 10th when the Ivy League canceled their tournament, I mean, that's a huge window.
If this is important to you, I'll provide it. The Blazers star Damian Lillard, NBA 2K21 cover athlete. That's according to The Athletic. So I don't know if that's a big deal there. Do they have a curse, like the Madden curse? I don't know if the NBA has that with Dame Lillard. But rest in peace, Carl Reiner. Died at the age of 98, according to TMZ. Carl Reiner, legendary. Movies, TV shows, Rob Reiner's dad. Google him. All right, take a break. Coming up next hour, check in with Pat Forty, covers college athletics. Get his thoughts on Ivy League's proposal. And Guy Fieri coming up, final hour. Do you want some more Rap Jeopardy on the way out?
Let's go for it, man.
All right. Let me see. What do I have here, Fritzy, that it would be in classes?
We got Tupac, we got Jay-Z, we got Rock Nation, Biggie. We got 4, I think, solid ones that I think he has a good chance of getting most of these.
Can I do this? Jay's down in Tribeca. Can I do that?
Sure, why not? Those are all safe. There's nothing dirty about any of these.
All right. Jay's down in Tribeca, right next to this Fokker.
I don't know.
Who is Robert De Niro?
Oh,
in the Fokkers.
Yeah. Man, I got to step my rap game up, man.
I know.
Yeah.
In Tupac's Hit 'Em Up, Tupac will take your money, crash and mash in this borough.
Man, I'm disappointed in myself right now, man.
Yes, Paul.
Dan, what is Brooklyn?
That is correct. That is correct, Paul.
Very nicely done.
When Rock Nation runs the town, who are Jay-Z, Kanye, and Rihanna following the leader with?
That's the clue right there.
Oh, you got to get that one.
Yes, Seton.
Who is Eric B?
That is correct.
Follow the leader, Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, those dudes old school. Hey, I'm going to tell you like this, man. I listen to Jay-Z before every game. You do? But I don't know any of these lyrics. It's the problem.
Okay, he'll get the last one then.
Okay. In Biggie's Juicy, birthdays were the worst days, but now he sips when...
Champagne when he's thirsty.
Yeah. Well, no. What is champagne?
What is champagne?
There you go.
Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. Got it. Knew we'd get that one.
Yeah, that's my jam right there.
So, Dan, first of all, I just want to stretch out what I'm doing here.
Don't stretch out too much.
I dressed it up. I dressed it up today.
That button is screaming.
It's good.
All right,
Dan.
Dan.
Nice,
So-
but casual, but professional. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you've appointed me director of curating social media content. I just gave.
I don't know if it's that title.
But today I'm going to play the role of debt collector. Debt collector.
Okay.
So yesterday I was scrolling through social medias. I was laying in bed, and this came across my screen.
Yeah, I don't know about the pick.
Anthony Bennett.
Who would you have picked?
I would have taken Oladipo.
Oh, you're crazy. I want you to somebody save this recording and save that one because Oladipo to me, I think he's overrated. The fact that Orlando passed up on Ben McLemore for Victor Oladipo just boggles my mind.
Okay, wait a minute. How about we have a bet for dinner? Who becomes an All-Star first? Anthony Bennett or Victor Oladipo?
Oh, dear.
I'll even take you one step further. I'll say Ben McLemore or Victor Oladipo.
No, I'm not.
I'm saying I prefer McLemore.
So I'm not saying you have to take me to dinner a few, but just leftovers.
Wait, why am I taking you to dinner?
Because I found this.
He found you a free dinner.
Yeah, but I knew it.
Wow. This is 2 days ago, 7 years ago. So on the 28th, it would have been 7 years.
Yeah, but I remember saying to Mannix, and it's not the first time that I've been right in Mannix.
I can't believe that you just torched Mannix to try and get a free dinner.
Did you get the dinner yet?
That's kind of mean.
No, but I haven't been around Mannix. I don't want to be around Mannix.
Oladipo has started 355 games. Bennett started 4.
Yeah, these are his stats right
Okay, but it's in fairness to Mannix,
It's not over yet.
it's not over.
Oh, dear.
So you did well.
Where's Anthony Bennett right now?
Yeah, you did well today.
He's probably home at a nice
No
house.
dancing. But
Yeah,
the
in
jacket.
Italy, maybe.
Yeah, probably Italy.
You like it or no?
Well, I like it, but it feels like when you
Feels like
button it.
Let's see.
Like
Hold
I
on,
feel
I'm gonna
bad
put-
for that
I'm gonna
button.
put my
I've
link.
been there.
It's not a summer fabric.
But it's from the Paul Pabst collection.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
The upside is huge. Downside, basically nothing.
Dan Patrick.
Keith Olbermann says the World Series has a 0% chance of being played.
All metrics is out of control. In Texas, hospitalizations doubled in the last 18 days. Florida's infections are 5 times what they were 2 weeks ago.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. How do you think history is going to view the Astros?
It depends really on whether or not baseball is played today. If they play a season, if they get to a World Series, if I'm completely wrong about that, the Astros thing will have been not wiped from history, but it will be less of an urgency.
Brought to you from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. If you're listening, you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. You're tweeting, emailing. Say good morning to Chat Row. Boys are here, ready to go. Did we settle on a poll question, McLovin?
I put up hour 1. Which sport is in the best shape right now? NFL, NBA, or MLB? 62% NFL, then NBA second, and then MLB a distant third.
All right. It's fluid. It feels like it's every day where there's something else that comes up. There's progress that's made, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. I mean, I look at the Brooklyn Nets. You don't have Durant. You don't have Kyrie. You got a couple other players. DeAndre Jordan's not going to go. You got a couple players who tested positive yesterday. And I wonder if they're going to be able to put together a roster to go to Orlando. And I don't know if the commissioner would step in and say, you know what, on second thought, the Wizards get to go. Because has Kyrie been cleared medically? I know nothing about Kyrie Irving's health status. I know Kevin Durant is coming back from the Achilles surgery. Has he been cleared medically? They just decided that he shouldn't be doing anything? Because that's what it feels like. And I think that's the prudent move. I don't want Kevin Durant to come back for a 2-month period or 6-week period and try to do too much. I would want to load management Kevin Durant next year. I would take as many safety precautions as I could. Kyrie, I don't even know what his injury is. Is it his knee? It's been so long ago. I've forgotten all about it. Yeah, Paul.
Kyrie Irving's shoulder surgery was 4 to 6 weeks. So they said it would be that timeline equaled he could be back in June. Kevin Durant was medically cleared at the end of March, according to the New York Post.
Now, medically cleared to start working out?
Right, but that's 2 months ago he was medically cleared.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3 months ago.
Yeah, I just don't see the upside to bring him back and have him play.
Any chance, though, that the Nets and Durant and Kyrie look at this and say, hey, there's no home court advantage. There's this weird tournament down in Orlando. This evens the playing field a bit for us to advance on. Why not take a shot?
Because you got DeAndre Jordan out. Spencer Dinwiddie just tested positive. You had Wilson Chandler, who's not going to go. You don't even know if Kyrie's going to play. I can't put Durant in that situation. I just saw this from our friend Chris Haynes. Kevin Durant, who is continuing his rehab, will not accompany the team to Orlando for the season resumption, league sources tell Yahoo Sports. Not surprised. Yeah, McLovin.
I got bad news on the Wizards. They're 6 games back of the Nets with 8 games to play. They ain't catching the Nets.
Oh, I know they're not, but I'm saying, can Brooklyn actually field a team to go to Orlando? What happens if somebody else tests positive on that team?
I mean, is a team that half G League guys any worse than the current Washington Wizards?
Wow.
Come on. Oh, who's going to – what?
Fair.
Are we afraid of Wizards
Fair.
Nation out there? There's a single person.
Wizards Nation.
Wizards Nation.
Have you guys ever met a Wizards fan? I'm sorry.
Good point.
We know Redskins fans. And we know some Nationals fans now, but no one's ever met a Wizards fan.
You can't imagine anyone saying, I grew up a diehard Wizards fan.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
How long have the Wizards been the Wizards? Because I remember when they were the Baltimore Bullets, and they were a great team. But then they became the Wizards. Yes, Paulie.
They've been the Wizards. When would you think, if you could guess the year they went from Bullets to Wizards, top of your head?
Well, Abe Pollin was the owner of the team, I think, at the time. And I'm going to guess 25 years?
Pretty close, Dan. 23 years ago, 97, 98 seasons, your Wizards came into existence.
Yeah. That was the first of politically correctness when it comes to team names, it feels like, because they were the Bullets.
There were some college teams like Marquette and St. John's and others changed. I don't know when they changed.
But I don't know when St. John's went from the Redmen and Marquette changed as well.
I think it was a little earlier because Dartmouth changed in the late 80s from the Indians to the Big Green.
Okay.
There was a movement. It was in the early 90s to change those names.
But nobody noticed because it was Dartmouth.
They all did. I think the Syracuse Orangemen were right around. Like, it all happened right around
94.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Except it didn't happen in Washington,
No,
D.C.
it
Speaking
didn't.
of.
I know, it didn't. It's not going to happen anytime soon either. Yeah, Paulie.
You saw what happened last week. The Redskins took down a statue of one of their former owners. You could tell that's such a pacification move to try to.
Yeah.
Can we change the topic? We'll take down this statue. Can you all move along so we don't have to address our team name?
It's like, how much can we do that's just enough so we don't have to change our nickname?
Right.
All right. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle @DP Show. Say good morning to Doug in Florida. Hi, Doug. What's on your mind today?
Hey, DP, 5'11", 170. Wanted to share with you that McLovin could not be further from the truth or understanding. He needs to pay attention to the master. By spring, we would be willing to watch cockroaches play football because of the biochemistry of the COVID-19 virus. NBA bubble, NFL, NCAA, all those guys, it's going to be a disaster. But you just can't control the thing. It's got to play itself out, or we've got to have a vaccine or a cure. But, yeah, McLovin, come spring, if Ivy League football does not have the highest ratings, then I'll take you sailing for the weekend, my friend. Come down to Florida.
There you go.
That's kind of a worst case. He's saying that there's going to be no sports until then. Like the Super Bowl won't happen.
Well, there won't be any football after the Super Bowl, and you would plug into that spring football XFL window that everybody was going crazy over. Now, granted, those numbers dissipated, but this is just a proposal from the Ivy League, and we asked to have somebody on from the Ivy League. Fritzy, can I read a portion of what they sent to us?
Sure.
Not going to be publicly commenting outside the statement. Therefore, we respectfully cannot have, is this the commissioner of the Ivy League on the show this morning?
Yeah, we were looking to have the executive director,
Okay.
Robin Harris, on.
Okay. But they're just talking about spring football. That's all. Just the possibility of waiting till the spring, and it's the Ivy League. St. John's changed its nickname 1994. So 26 years ago. Louis Carnesecca was... Now, was he still the head coach then? I know he made the announcement, but...
He's alive. I saw him on a local news interview last month. He's doing great.
The Redmen will now be known as the Red Storm. And I don't even remember Marquette changing its name.
With Warriors
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
Didn't Hawaii do that with the Rainbow?
The Rainbows.
Right, they were the Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah.
I got Syracuse in 2004 from the Orangemen to the Orange.
Okay. Jeff in Detroit. Hi, Jeff. What do you have for me today?
What up, though? One time for my guys and girls in chat row. Dan.
Yes.
I was sitting up thinking the other day. Listen. You funny, man. Listen, as far as GOATs go, you got LeBron and you got Tom. Do you ever remember a time where it was two GOATs at the same time with such longevity? I thought about it. When both of these guys got in the leagues, I was in my 20s. I'm getting ready to have a 50th birthday, and they're still fighting for championships to this day. Do you ever remember two athletes with such great resumes fighting for championships this late in their careers?
Well, Tom's the GOAT, but LeBron's not the GOAT. He's in the conversation. So, yeah, Jeff. What? What?
I said him being in so many different championships, him running the Pistons to the championship, him taking Miami, and if he does it with the Lakers, he's definitely going to be in the question. In the conversation.
I know he's in the conversation. It's just people won't allow him in the conversation. Thank you, Jeff, because of their memories with Jordan and certainly with that documentary that came out. That just reinforced, how people thought about Mike. But LeBron's in the conversation, but I don't think he'll ever be the GOAT. He'd have to win at least 2 more titles. And then you could have, and I don't even want to get into this topic because it's silly. Battle lines are drawn. You either believe it or not. Nobody's going to take Mike off the pedestal. I entertain it, but they're different basketball players. The only person who's close to Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is Kobe, because Kobe tried to be Mike. LeBron can't be Mike. He's different. And therefore, I don't think he'll be. There's that apples and oranges. You're trying to compare the two, but you can't. They're different players, different people, different eras. Yeah, Paul.
One thing that's interesting, I just looked at the timeline. Tom Brady really became a household name when he won the Super Bowl in January of 2002, correct?
Yeah.
4 weeks later, LeBron James on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high school athlete. So Tom Brady was not that well known when he got handed the reins that season in 2001, and then he became household name January of 2002. LeBron James basically became a household name before he got drafted a year and a half later by being on the SI cover 3 weeks after Brady wins the Super Bowl. Those guys have been household names since then.
Yes,
I think it was still kind of controversial that they didn't bring Bledsoe back once he got healthy, that they left Brady in. I mean, says a lot about his star power then.
Well, if you go back and listen to that final drive with John Madden is questioning the coaching philosophy or decision of Bill Belichick to let Brady throw the ball down the field, because he thought that they were not going to try to get in, field goal range, that you were going to play for overtime, because we weren't sure about Tom Brady. And Brady's numbers were kind of pedestrian, I think, in that first Super Bowl. That was basically won by the defense, their strategy against Marshall Faulk. But, Brady wasn't one that, you looked at him and you went, that's greatness. I remember after that Super Bowl, so that next day, and, we're just going, is he going to be great? I didn't know at the time. I thought, boy, that's a great story. And, the fact that Bledsoe helped them, I think, against Pittsburgh in the playoffs. But I looked at Brady and I went, I don't know if he does anything great. But he didn't get flustered in the biggest moment of his young career. And I thought, okay, something to be said. There's no way at the time I went, man, that guy is destined for greatness. Yeah, Paul.
And if you watch, I watched the end of that Super Bowl, the fourth quarter a couple weeks ago, and John Madden's calling it. And when they get the ball back, they're like, well, you got a young quarterback in there, just run a few plays and play for overtime.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah. So here's John Madden saying that. And then they were aggressive. And then Vinatieri kicks the field goal. But there's no way. I figured LeBron was going to be something. Did I think he was going to be this? Probably not. But knowing everything about LeBron James and how he played the game, having seen one basketball game that he played in. So you have a guy who's 6'8", by far the biggest guy on the floor. And he's the best passer on the floor. And I remember coming away going, it's unbelievable how unselfish he is. And he wanted to make others better. And, Jordan's not that kind of guy. Jordan's philosophy was, why do I throw it to you? Even if I'm double covered, I got a better chance of scoring than you do if you're wide open. LeBron would always find the open man. And you had these guys who looked like they were about 5'9" on the team. And he would make great passes even back then. All righty. So we got a poll question here. Paul in Ohio joins us. Paul, what's on your mind?
Hey, Dan, what's going on?
Oh, you tell me, Paul. What's on your mind?
Well, I went to a physical therapist yesterday, Dan, and your name popped up. I was showing her things that I cook on my Traeger, and there was a little picture of you, and she goes, is that Dan Patrick? And I said, yeah. Anyway, I showed her the little video of my Walter Mitty mullet with the jerky, and she goes, I love Dan Patrick. Oh, my God, he's one of my favorites. So I thought I'd pass it along to you. And did anybody have any more comments about the Keith Olbermann thing? That kind of really concerned me.
What do you mean?
I mean,
his doubts for the World Series?
Yeah.
Buster Olney from the Mothership has said the same thing. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for that update. Our female population is skyrocketing. Huge. And I think it's 3 now that we have. At least 3 on record. Yeah, Oberman said 0% chance of the World Series. Buster Olney said the same thing. I'm a little more optimistic than that. I'm going to be a little bit more than 0% that the World Series won't happen here. By the way, talking about high school athletes, LeBron James on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 17. Bryce Harper on the cover at 16. And there are a few others there. I don't know if you know who Imani Bates is, because he's a big deal. He just committed to Michigan State yesterday, and he's been on the radar of serious basketball fans for a while. Last year, he became the first sophomore ever to be the National Player of the Year, Gatorade National Player of the Year. And you have a lot of scouts saying he might be the best high school prospect since LeBron James. Now, the problem is all this attention actually makes the commitment to Michigan State more precarious. By 2022, high school players should be able to go directly to the NBA. I'm going to guess Bates will go right to the NBA. I'm wondering, and I don't know if he can do this or not, and maybe somebody who is listening can help us. I'm going to guess Bates can get himself a shoe deal individually right now. Adidas, Nike. If he's not going to play college basketball, I don't know if you're ineligible in high school. Paulie, if you could check that, but I mean, he's got the hype that goes along with this, but you're talking about a prospect that could be the next LeBron James. The next LeBron James with that much publicity going into the NBA. Yeah, Paulie.
Don't you think that his team and his family announced this declaration on national TV, ESPN yesterday, almost when they see what LeBron is doing? Get famous before you're in the league. Have your marketing deals now. Start working on them now. So when he does go in the NBA draft in 2 years, he's by far the number one pick, but also a household name.
Can he have a shoe deal? Would that make him ineligible to play high school basketball? Yeah, McLevin.
But it'd make him ineligible for college basketball.
Well, he's not going to college.
Okay.
So if you know you're not going to college.
But did we know like Zion probably could have signed a shoe deal in high school, but he knew he had to go to college.
This
will
kid
be the
is
first class.
This kid is considered a better prospect than Zion Williamson. He's a better basketball player by his sophomore year than Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson was he's a spectacular athlete. This, by all accounts, Imani Bates is a great basketball player. I've been hearing about him since 8th grade. And I think at the time people were talking about in 8th grade, he was the best player in the state of Michigan. But this helps Michigan State from the standpoint of he may not go there, but I think him announcing that he trusted Tom Izzo and that other recruits might look at this and say, let me give Michigan State another look. But I don't think he's going to play at Michigan State. But I'm curious. Maybe Pat Forty, Fritzy, give Forty a heads up. He's going to join us here. Could he have a shoe deal? Above board where everybody knows you have a shoe deal? Because if I'm Nike or Adidas and I can lock him in now, absolutely. Because we saw what Zion signed for. Didn't he sign a $90 million shoe deal? And if you can get this kid now, I would. Lock him up. Absolutely. All right, 877-3DP show. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. We got our poll question, correct?
Well, we could keep up that multiple sport one. We could go back to Cam. We could...
Well, what do you want to ask with Cam?
Well, Paulie was asking whether it would be a pocket quarterback or a running quarterback. But
he can't be a pocket quarterback.
It's not even in play.
Because, these quarterbacks play that way. That you can try to... one of the guys who got deprogrammed was Steve Young. Steve Young would have his one read, and then he would go. And he had to go through his progressions. And this is according to somebody on the coaching staff for the Niners who said we had to deprogram him. From the USFL days to when he was in Tampa, he ran because, he was trying to survive. And he got to San Francisco, and their offense, the West Coast offense, Montana never ran. It was just quick passes there. Rice and Taylor, Dwight Clark, and they had to deprogram Steve and say, you got progressions to make, and then if you have to run, you can run. Yeah, McLevin.
Doesn't even the slow quarterbacks do this run pass option? Like, isn't Nick Foles an RPO specialist? And he's as slow as anybody in the world.
He's an RPO specialist?
Yeah, isn't that what the Eagles screwed up the Patriots with in the Super Bowl? But they kept rolling him right and RPOing, and he never ran. He always threw. But I feel like even Brady was running an RPO. I don't know. I feel like RPO is the standard play now in the NFL. And I could be wrong. I'll ask an expert here. But
It feels like that, but I'm not quite sure. Do we look at Nick Foles? I mean, it always amazed me that the Patriots gave Foles respect as if he was going to run the football in the Super Bowl. And I went, he ain't running. And he didn't. He would just, they'd be like, oh, we're going to be cautious here. No, I would be back, waiting for a pass. Yeah, McLevin.
Do you think 10 years ago the Ravens would have told Lamar Jackson to run less? Have attitudes changed in the NFL?
Slowly. But it feels like you have to change because you're seeing the type of quarterbacks who are coming in now that, you can't be archaic. It can't be caveman football here. And that's why you're seeing, Belichick has loved Cam Newton. He thought about Johnny Manziel. He thought about Baker Mayfield. You have to look at this to stay relevant, I think. You can't be, nope, our quarterback sits in the pocket there. I mean, the Saints have that because that's who Drew Brees is. He can't run. Phillip Rivers can't run. Ben can't run. Those quarterbacks, those are dinosaurs. Brady can't run. All of these other quarterbacks coming in, you're athletes. Yeah, Paul.
If you look at Lamar Jackson, I think he was drafted in 2018, 2017. 10 years earlier, he would have been Pat White at West Virginia, an unbelievable run-and-shoot quarterback. Yeah. And Pat White was fantastic. He barely glommed on. Didn't he barely get the Dolphins?
Yeah.
And he was a fill-in guy.
I thought he was going to be a good NFL quarterback.
If Pat White were coming out in the top 30 pick.
Yes,
Did he get a really significantly vicious concussion early in his career?
Well, he's also a baseball guy, I think, in the Kansas City Royals.
I think he went in the second round.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah,
I thought he was really good.
He got one of the worst concussions, and that slowed him down big time as a Dolphin. I'll check on that.
All right, phone calls are welcome. We'll settle on a poll question. Guy Fieri, Flavortown. He's from Columbus, Ohio. They've already, I think, taken down Christopher Columbus's monument there, and now you have a petition signed by thousands of people to rename Columbus Flavortown. Guy Fieri will join us. Is that something Guy would want? Because he's always taking a trip to Flavortown, and that's usually wherever Guy goes. He's going to Flavortown. Yes, Eden.
The mayor of Flavortown. I want to meet the person who started all that.
Is there a deputy mayor? Do they have like a streets and water department?
But so who comes up with the idea and says, we're going to get thousands of signatures? Do you go door to door? Do you go to supermarkets? Where do you get all these people to sign?
I think it's just online, probably.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. I don't know if they've taken to the streets just yet, but they might be.
All right, we'll take a break. More phone calls coming up. Pad 40, we'll talk the possibility of spring football, certainly for the Ivy League, coming up. It's 23 after the hour here on the Dan Patrick Show. It's a whole new world out there. We're all faced with new challenges, and if you need help, legal help, LegalZoom is there. And you don't have to leave your home. You've been wondering best way to protect your family, maybe starting a business, restarting a business. LegalZoom has been dedicated to helping you with the right solutions. They have been with us over 10 years. They've been doing this for almost 20 years. If you're looking to protect your family, a will, living trust, thinking about the right way to start a business, it'd be a DBA, an LLC, nonprofit, LegalZoom's got you covered. They're not a law firm. That's a good thing. Now, they do have a network of independent attorneys who can help guide you. But not being a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. You don't get charged by the hour. Visit LegalZoom.com today to take care of some of the important things that you need to get done in your life, protecting your family, and you don't have to leave your home to do so. That's LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. You need to make it legal. Make it LegalZoom.com. going to call that right there.
Ow!
You got your hand on him.
Bad arm. We got 30 seconds. We're gonna do this. 30 seconds. We're gonna do it. No, we're ready to go. Let's go.
All right. Okay. So let me just move something out of here. If there's a foul, I'm going to call it right away. I don't want to hear any nonsense.
Right.
Check ball.
Check ball.
We're live.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
I need this fast.
Okay.
I'm ready. I didn't like that. I have foul.
That's a foul right there.
I go?
No, I got you. I got you.
Really?
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's play some ball here.
He's got a good base.
Wow, foul.
Yeah, I'm reaching in, got his glasses. That's 2 on you.
Oh, the glasses came off. Well, what is allowed here?
Well,
no
this-
touch?
This is like the
Well, no, you
current
can't.
NBA.
You're not allowed. You're guarding LeBron. See? Oh, you had your shot.
I'm backing him down. Oh, I can't get anywhere, Dan. I can't get anywhere. Here we go.
There would have been a foul.
Oh, that's a foul. He got my hand.
Brian, did you get him?
Yeah. After I blocked the shot, I did hit his hand.
That's 3. 4. You could foul out college with 5. That's the case.
Are we going to allow this little back down thing?
It's Mark Jackson. You're allowed to do
Last
that.
chance.
Oh, I can't get anywhere.
Feels like.
Oh.
Going nowhere.
Lost his dribble. Lost his dribble.
You have to go.
Loose ball.
I was trying to run away from you.
You have to go jump shot.
That's such a foul.
Did you foul him?
Yeah, one more.
None of these are fouls. Great job, man. All right.
You kidding me, right? You kidding?
You think they're fouls?
I think it was like a technical foul.
Woo!
You
Man.
want to score on me?
All right, real quick. Ready?
You guys
Got
suck.
heated.
See what you do.
Boy, this is an interesting story. McLovin and McLovin guarding Brian Scalabrine with the steal.
No, that's not him.
We're setting basketball back
Sorry, buddy.
decades here. Wednesday.
Scalabrine just went up top and dunked it.
Just got a text from a former NFL scout. Said the following. Patriots see Baltimore and Lamar Jackson as the new trend of offense in the NFL. College schemes, running quarterbacks, power rushing attack puts great pressure on the defense. NFL coordinators are now talking and studying with college defensive coordinators who see these offenses every week. Cam would be their version of Lamar Jackson, running game, deep play action shots. That's why, we always give Belichick credit that he's usually a couple of steps ahead of everybody. He's not. The Ravens are a couple of steps ahead. Arizona, it feels like, is a couple of steps ahead because they brought in quarterbacks that you probably went, they can't play at the next level. Remember, Kyler Murray was too short. I haven't heard anything I didn't hear much about that second half of the season. And I think he was, Paulie, would you check? Was Kyler Murray the same height that at the end of the year as he was at the beginning of the year?
Actually, we haven't heard back from him.
Okay, we haven't. Okay, just want to make sure.
Don't ask him. He won't tell you anything.
That's why he won't say that. Yeah, he won't tell me anything. All right, Pat Forty's set to join us here. He covers college football, college basketball for Sports Illustrated. Senior writer there. He joins us from Louisville. Good morning. How are you, Pat?
Morning. Unlike Kyler Murray, I will not no comment.
Okay, awesome. I just brought up this great recruit, Imani Bates, out of Michigan. He's a sophomore, and I'm wondering, can a shoe company lock him up now as a sophomore in high school?
Depending what the Michigan high school basketball rules are, maybe. Certainly under the table they can, as they have been doing for the last couple of decades. But if you want to give him the $50 million contract, then you'd have to go above board there. And now that's the thing: if this prep school that he's going to is not going to play by Michigan High School Athletic Association rules, might be a whole different deal. You might be able to throw the money on the table for him now. And then the next question is name, image, and likeness. If he's going to go to Michigan State, if the 2% chance actually happens, what could he accept via name, image, and likeness, and what could he not accept?
Oh, I don't think he's going to end up at Michigan State, man. His dad started this prep school, so his dad's his coach there. If I'm Nike, is Michigan State a Nike school? I believe. Okay, so if I'm Nike, why don't I just put his parents on payroll as consultants and pay them, $50 million over the next 5 years?
Well, I guarantee they're already on payroll as consultants. The question is, how much versus, a straight out monster deal directly to their son. But there's no doubt that Nike was paying them for the Bates Fundamentals team that they had in the AAU circuit the last couple of years. And they will pay for this prep school, the consulting fee there. And then eventually, the big money's coming again. I just don't know whether they're ready, to give a 16-year-old $50 million. If it were me, I'd wait until he's like 18 and I've seen his progression continue the way it's been.
I mentioned the Ivy League is pondering the idea of spring football. And I don't know where we're going to be in the spring and how different it's going to be in the fall, but your thoughts on the Ivy League doing this?
Well, I'd say pay attention, because remember, they were the first ones to cancel on basketball, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, that's extreme. They're overreacting. No, they were right. They were ahead of everybody else. And I think people will pay attention to what they're doing around college sports. Nobody wants to go to spring, but it's a possible safety net. I think there's more and more people that are open to it now than they were a month ago. And I think that, gosh, we kind of kept kicking the can down the road, Dan, for a few weeks now. Let's wait till July 1st. We're getting close to July 1st. Doesn't look very good. We better wait till July 15th. But I think there will be serious discussions in the next couple of weeks about what do we do if we just don't think that we can safely bring back players, bring back students, have college as normal in the fall. Maybe we do look at a spring.
Boomer Esiason, the former NFL quarterback, works for CBS. He has a morning show in New York on WFAN. He floated out the idea or possibility that maybe all of these kids are testing positive, and that might be more strategic at the the high level in college football. Your thoughts on that?
It would not completely shock me, especially like Clemson, where I don't think Dabo Swinney is the guy that's running around saying we really need to respect the virus. I think it's more the other way around. So he might be saying, let's get it all out of the way now, as opposed to having 8 guys test positive the week we play Notre Dame and not be able to play them. That's a very risky approach. Obviously, if you talk to infectious disease experts and health experts, they're going to say, no, this is really not a very good idea. Not, being able to ensure that all health side effects of this are going to be minor and everybody's going to come back and be perfectly fine, and you're not going to spread it to coaches and support personnel and eventually professors and all that sort of thing. So it would be a very risky strategy, but would it shock me completely? No, it would not.
Philip Fulmer, the athletic director at Tennessee, is planning on 100,000 fans for football games in the fall.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under on that, Pat. I'm taking the under.
You know what? You take the under even in full health because they haven't been filling that place lately.
Well, this recruiting class, though, they got a good recruiting class here.
That's right. They just got another 3-star out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Look out. No, they're not going to have 100,000. Nobody's going to have 100,000. So, I mean, things would have to change so radically. And I know this has changed significantly as we've gone along, but for the next 2 months, things would have to just absolutely turn on a dime. And right now we're going the other direction from that. So maybe if you're very lucky, you play football and then you get 20, 30, 40,000 in there.
You have a radical realignment plan for college football?
I do.
You want to explain it? Give me the Cliff Notes version here.
Yeah, the new FBS, the 40 bowl subdivision. Basically, every conference is fractured. You remake them as 10 12-team conferences, 120 teams total. You kick out 11. You bring in North Dakota State. You move them up. Every one of the 10 conference champions gets an automatic bid to a 12-team playoff. You add 2 at-large teams. You play four teams get a bye. 8 teams play on college campuses, first round. Quarterfinals on college campuses, then semis and championship as normal. And you basically, you are much more regionally oriented here. You know, instead of having West Virginia going to Lubbock and vice versa, the conferences are much more aligned so that student athletes don't have to travel as far and schools don't have to pay as much to do the traveling.
What kind of reaction have you gotten?
Some people love it. Some people hate it. Generally, if you are an establishmentarian and you've already got everything going your way, like Notre Dame doesn't want to be in a conference, Notre Dame hates the fact that I want to put them in a conference. Florida and Georgia do not want to be in a conference with Florida Atlantic and Georgia Southern, but in my deal, they are. Now, if you're Georgia Southern, you're like, yeah, bring it on. Bring the dogs down to Statesboro. Let's play them. So it just kind of depends on your point of view.
Who would USC be in with?
USC would be in the West Coast Conference, which would be most of the Pac-12, plus you're kicking out Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado, and you're putting in like San Diego State, Fresno State, Hawaii, and Nevada. They would be the literal 12 westernmost schools that play FBS.
Yeah, I wondered if we would get to the point where that we would have the Power Five, and you would just leave it at that. And you just say, let's secede from the union here, and we have our own college football program. You have a commissioner, 5 12-team conferences.
Yep.
And maybe have an 8-team or 10-team playoff. What do you think about that proposal?
Well, that's more likely than my proposal. It is that because the big guys don't want to share. So they're, if they don't have to, they're not going to. And yeah, they'd probably just as soon separate from the American Athletic Conference and the the Mountain West and the MAC and all that. But still, the one thing they don't want, they want to take the NCAA structure with them so that somebody is in charge of hosting championships and putting them on, and somebody is in charge of being the bad guy, because none of them want to be the bad guy. They don't want to police anything. They'd rather have the NCAA do it ineffectively and then blame them for being ineffective. So the NCAA does exist for a reason, but the Power Five breaking away is more likely, unfortunately, than my superior plan.
How's morale?
Good enough. Good enough. Keep it going. Let's just one day at a time, and let's see what we can possibly get to by the time school starts.
What's the first game that you're scheduled to go to?
I am not scheduled right now for anything. I went to the Belmont Stakes, and that is all I have on my plate. We've got a meeting later this week to kind of see where we're going to get, if we're going to go to games. But we'll go from there. I would imagine, the Kentucky Derby is on Labor Day weekend, so I would cover that. But I would probably be at football games that Thursday and maybe even Monday, that Labor Day, if there are football games and we deem it safe to travel.
I got a book for you when it comes out. Wright Thompson wrote it, and it's about Pappy Van Winkle. It's about horse racing and Pappy Van Winkle, and I got an advanced copy and read it. It's wonderful. I mean, because Wright Thompson he's not one of the best sports writers. He's one of the best writers out there. And I figured that you being in Louisville, you'd have great appreciation for that. And maybe you've had Pappy Van Winkle before.
I have had some Pappy cross my lips. So you combine Wright and Pappy and that bring on the book. I'll take it. And the Derby.
Thank you, Pat. Good to talk to you, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Okay.
It's Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated senior writer. Back with your phone calls after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Great to have you in studio. I'm just curious what you get on the street when you're walking in New York. What do they yell out to you?
Oh, everybody's Medea, Tyler, Medea. So, yeah, I deal with that a lot.
I'm wondering if you go back to Larry Johnson. When Larry did Grandmama, do you remember those commercials?
It was a long time ago. Yeah, I do remember.
But Medea is not. Medea is more of your mom, right?
Oh, yes.
But Larry was he was the grandmama.
Grandmama, yeah. No, it's a cross between my mother and my aunt, man. And these are the funniest women I know. You don't want to run into them in an alley late in the midnight. They'll take you down.
Now, do you have to get mom and grandma's approval of some of the humor?
Yeah, my mom, before she passed, she loved it. But Medea is the PG version of those women. No, they're straight NC-17, man. They don't stop.
What happens? What was it like to put on a dress as a woman that first time?
It was really scary, man. I had an actress that didn't show up at a show. This is a true story. And Medea was born in that moment. So I had to go on stage and do the Medea lines and her lines. And it just got bigger and bigger. Every time I get up and walk across the stage, the audience would be laughing. So I'm like, what are they laughing at? Then I turn around and see that I got this big ass in the back that's bouncing all over the place, man. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun to see the audience reaction, but I freaking hate it.
You do hate it.
Oh my God, man! That costume and that wig, and if somebody had told me years ago that this thing was going to go on almost 20 years, I might have had a different. I wouldn't have played the character or something.
Yeah, but you got another one coming out, Medea. Isn't there a funeral?
The funeral, yeah, they're coming out because people keep coming. I tell them, I say, as soon as you guys start coming to see this movie, this old broad is dead. She is dead quicker than anything. I'm telling you.
She doesn't die in the funeral one.
No, she doesn't die in the funeral.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
there.
She buries some other people in the funeral. Well, who knows? If this movie doesn't do well, she may die in the funeral. We'll see. We'll see.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. What's up, everybody? This is Marvin Prince here. Got a couple of emails from you guys. Thanks a lot for all the interaction. We were talking about high school athletes, and a really good one from my friend Tyler from UConn. Talking about high school athletes. Danny Ainge is the only person to be named first team All-American in football, baseball, and basketball. I wonder whatever happened to Danny Ainge. Wonder if he did anything. And also, I got one from Jamie in North Carolina. This is a good one. Since 1978, the Patriots quarterbacks as a whole, they've rushed for 4,833 yards, 4,833 yards. Cam Newton has rushed for 4,806 yards. So Cam Newton has rushed for almost as many yards as the Patriots quarterback in a long time. What's that, 42 years? I didn't go to math that day. And Amani Bates offered a scholarship by DePaul when he was only in 8th grade. Michigan State has been recruiting him since the 7th grade. He's also the first sophomore to win National Player of the Year. Man, I was flunking geometry as a sophomore. But that's all I got. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
went back in the control room. The big German is the director. I'm used to going in control rooms where there are some really impressive directors and producers, high-end producers and directors. I go in there. I got Dylan over there doing graphics. At least I think he is. Tyler they have a jar there for every time Tyler screws up that he has to put $1 in it. And it's starting to fill up. And then I got the big German there. So I'm in good hands. I got a dog back there. Penny's there. Yes, Eaton.
Soon to be the Emmy Award winning.
And Tyler's showing the jar, but he's got to make sure he doesn't show what's written on that jar. There's a word that shouldn't be on there, Tyler. Just making sure. Yep, I'm in good hands. This is why I left ESPN, so I could have a show just like this. We're doing Cam Chowder T-shirts. Brady's threatening to sue us.
Who's got it better than us?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Jesse in Colorado. Hi, Jess. What do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call, 58200.
Okay.
I was just wondering what you guys thought about Cam Newton signing. Is Cam really the genius in all this? Is he using – because the Patriots don't – they're famous for underpaying their players. Is he using the Patriots as kind of a base to get back in the NFL and sign multi-million dollars in any team that he wants because the best coach in football?
Yeah, but he had no leverage. There are no other teams. I know Cleveland talked about this. There was a report that Cleveland was interested, or at least thought about bringing Cam Newton in, but New England was the only team interested in bringing in Cam Newton. Therefore, he had no leverage. Therefore, do you want to play? And I think it was Bomani Jones who said this a few weeks ago. If you're Cam Newton, do you want to go in and sign $1 million deal, or do you want to do something else? But if Cam Newton lives up to Cam Newton's hype, he's going to be very rich. Again, because he's young enough. He's 31. If he starts in New England, proves he can play, now he's got leverage. But he didn't have leverage before. Yeah, Paul.
A lot of other teams are now asking, their beat reporters are asking, why didn't we sign Cam Newton? And just one example is Chicago. And the analysis there is they signed Nick Foles and guaranteed him $21 million. They could have got Cam Newton in theory for, 1/5 that or less. But I think the theory is Mitch Trubisky can't have Cam Newton over his shoulder. The Patriots don't care about that kind of stuff. If you can't handle someone over your shoulder, then get lost. They don't care about protecting a young player who's trying to develop.
Yeah, I understand. If I'm the Patriots and I got a chance to do something and maybe counteract what Baltimore's doing with Lamar Jackson, because Cam's one of the founding fathers of the run-pass option. Colin Kaepernick. That's why teams should be looking at him just to see if he is, committed to playing and what kind of shape he's in. I would. That's what the league is now. RPO, run-pass option. Yeah, McLovin.
All right, Ryan Tannehill's the same age as Cam. He did a minimum deal.
Yeah.
And he just signed 4 years, $118 million.
Yeah. When he went to Tennessee, I said at the time, he'll be the starter. He'll beat out Marcus Mariota. I didn't know that he would get that kind of contract. If you said who's getting paid, Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill, I would have said, well, Derrick Henry is. He got a 1-year deal. He's a running back. But I would certainly be looking at, I think it's smart for the Patriots to do this. And I think Belichick, it's hard to do it when you have Tom Brady there. But they brought in quarterbacks. They brought in, Michael Bishop? He was an RPO guy. Now, he was ahead of his time, but the Patriots aren't going to be using that kind of player unless you're doing sort of what the Saints are going to be doing with their quarterbacking situation. If you bring somebody in, Taysom Hill, who does something different at a certain situation on the field or, with how much time's left on the clock, those kind of things. But I think it's smart what the Patriots did to bring in Cam. And I heard this argument yesterday. Yeah, but don't you think he's going to be a distraction? The Patriots don't allow you to be a distraction. I mean, they handle distractions quite well. Their distractions have nothing to do with what are you wearing at a press conference. Their distractions are a little bit bigger than that. I got a tight end in prison. My owner is being brought up on charges. My coach maybe was spying on somebody. Like, these are the things they deal with. And they deal with those pretty well. Oh, Cam, is he going to be able to wear a scarf to the press conference? And I went, has anybody seen what Gardner Minshew wears? Has anybody said, boy, Gardner Minshew, he's a distraction. Brady gave a lot of thought going to that press conference. Yes, he.
As I say, Brady was, he wasn't maybe as adventurous about his outfits.
He didn't wear a scarf.
He didn't wear a scarf, maybe, and some sunglasses, but, he brought the hammer occasionally with his choice of outer coat.
Oh, yeah.
Cost per outfit was probably equal, Cam's to Brady's.
If Cam Newton plays well, it doesn't matter what he wears to a press conference.
Coach, can you talk about Cam's outfit earlier today? Can you imagine just his face about, is this what we're doing?
Coach, could you respond the color coordination of Cam with the scarf with what he had on? No.
Belichick should coach the game from the sideline in one of Cam's outfits. Like week 1.
Does Dolce do cutoff hoodies?
Yeah. I cut the sleeves off this $1,500 jacket.
I'm looking for a Tommy Hilfiger hoodie that I can cut off sleeves. Look at what Gardner Minshew wears to games. Like his outfits. And I've never heard anybody say, he's a distract. Now, granted, it's Jacksonville.
Is that a Louis Vuitton clipboard with that little design on the back?
Pair of jorts.
That's where he's holding up his plays to cover his mouth, and it's all Louis.
Yeah, come on. If Cam plays well, he can wear a dress. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Just play well. That's all you want. That's what you would accept. Could Cam Newton be a better signing for the Patriots than Brady in Tampa? Could that actually be a possibility? And the answer is yes. As much as, we don't want to embrace that because, Brady, what he did, got out of the AFC, went to the NFC South. That Tampa team, I think, is ready to go. You're hosting the Super Bowl. Like that buzz, is immeasurable. Cam going to New England created a little buzz here. And if he proves to be successful, because the odds now it feels like that maybe they are a playoff team. But I think they're around, I don't know if their over-under has changed from, 9.5, McLovin?
I thought it was 8.5 to 9, but right around there.
Yeah, maybe it changed. I know their odds.
Went up a half game.
Yeah, like comeback player of the year. Cam's up there on the short list. And I don't know, like MVP odds, I think he's up there as well. All right, 2 hours in the books, one more to go. He is the mayor of Flavortown. But what if his hometown is renamed Flavortown? Guy Fieri will join us. The city of Columbus, Ohio, getting names, signing a petition. Thousands wanting to change the name of Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown. Guy Fieri will join us. Coming up, Dan Patrick Show. Toughest out of your career?
Well, there was a lot of them, Dan. There was, there were one or two guys on every team that hit me around pretty good. Louis Gonzalez, Mickey Morandini, Tony Gwynn. You could pick a team, and I'll give you two guys that were tough to get out. For me personally, and luckily you beat lineups and not hitters. You got to sometimes you got to pick your fights and know where your 27 outs are.
How'd you do against Bonds?
You know what? I didn't do good against him the first half of the career, and the second half of the career I did pretty well against him. I think he was easily the best hitter in baseball. He was the guy when I was playing, and like I said, you got to pick your fights. So you got to do what you can to get Jeff Kinn out and the rest of the guys.
I got you striking out Bonds 16 times in your career. That's the most of any pitcher versus Bonds. Congratulations, Greg.
Well, you know what? Thank you. But, I think it took me over 160 at-bats to do that. I think if some guys would have faced him as much as I did, they probably would have struck him out a lot more.
I remember, having conversations with Smoltz and Glavine, and they talked about Tony Gwynn, and they just said it didn't matter sometimes what you threw. You could tell him what you were throwing. Like, you just – it didn't matter. Did you ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what I throw.
You know what? It didn't matter. It mattered because you wanted to keep him to a single. So usually if you kept the ball down and away off of him, you very rarely would give up a double. And, it goes back to the beating the lineups again. You had to get Ken Caminetti out behind him. If you did that, you were going to be okay.
How much baseball are you?
Tony was easily the best pure hitter in baseball. He very rarely would he swing and miss.
Three-seasoner, huh?
I know.
It's four-person, so...
No, we had that.
Yeah,
we had that 10.
There's one person left out, though.
Todd.
I'm out.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Makes sense.
I wouldn't put you in the 10th.
Sorry, pal.
That's not fair to you. But, so this is my RV that I bought for my wife, and my son now wants to take it out. So he came in on Sunday to see what we had here. He goes, well, can I take the tent? And then can I take the cooler? And so I
cleaning the house on.
I know.
Well, I might as well grab the chair.
Yeah. And I just started going, well, wait, why don't you just take the RV?
Yeah.
He goes, but you're not using it. I said, I use it. This is for display only.
Why
here.
would you need a tent with an RV?
Yeah. It's a good question.
I think he wanted the tent just
Was he
to
asking,
bring the tent.
Was he asking for the tent so that then he could really get to the RV? Like, well, what are you taking the tent for? Why don't you just take the RV? Oh,
he
really?
set
No.
you up.
Are you
He's
really?
no. You know my son. He started
awesome.
high, and then he works his way back down.
Yeah, that way,
Not the other way. So he saw all this gear, and he goes, "You're not using it." I said, "Well, we are."
Not using it.
Yeah.
We have a show.
Yeah, but and then I said, "Well, you can't take these." He goes, "Well, that's not practical." I said, "Well, taking the other stuff isn't really practical."
How about those snacks? Can I take those snacks?
Oh, he definitely was gonna. He wanted to see how much storage was in there, so how much stuff he could take. And I said, you can take the tent if you want to. You can take the cooler if you want to. And that's about it.
By the way, I went to Bass Pro the other day for 15 minutes. I was running real quick. It's not gonna be 15 minutes when you go.
Nah.
I was about an hour and a half
All of a
later.
sudden,
like,
you're looking at like fishing rods. You're
I
like,
know.
"Oh, I think I'm gonna take up fishing.
Well, that's in your wheelhouse.
Oh.
When we went in there and you went shoe shopping, I lost you in there, and that's a big place. And I said, "Where's Paulie?" And then somebody said, "Check the shoe department." And you're over there. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
The upside is huge. Downside, basically nothing.
Dan Patrick.
Keith Olbermann says the World Series has a 0% chance of being played.
All metrics is out of control. In Texas, hospitalizations doubled in the last 18 days. Florida's infections are 5 times what they were 2 weeks ago.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. How do you think history is going to view the Astros?
It depends really on whether or not baseball is played today. If they play a season, if they get to a World Series, if I'm completely wrong about that, the Astros thing will have been not wiped from history, but it will be less of an urgency.
Brought to you from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. We're going to take a trip to Flavortown. Not sure where it is on the map, but we'll ask Guy Fieri, who will join us. I love this story. It's, the city of Columbus has thousands signing a petition to rename Columbus, Ohio, Flavortown, after native son Guy Fieri. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. He'll join us coming up a little bit. We were just talking about when you take a road trip and you're going to go camping. Like, you can't do that when you have a job. You do it when you're young or you do it when you're old. But after 25 and before 60, it seems like it's hard to do to just go road tripping. Now, I did that once with my family. We went from Connecticut to Ohio, and we rented an RV, and I went kicking and screaming because I was like, and I was working at the mothership, second shift, and I hadn't had a vacation, and here I am. I got 4 little ones, and my wife wants to drive the RV, and we're stopping in all these little camping areas. It was one of the best trips I ever took. We'd pull in. I couldn't wait to hang up the lights, the tiki lights, and then we would build a fire. It was awesome. Awesome. Be there sunset, then sunrise, and hitting the road. The kids in the back, they just had a great time. So now my son wants to take, I have an Airstream, and he wants to take it on the road. And he quit his job because he's going to travel for a year before he got married. And now, he was stuck in Singapore. So he came back with his fiance. So now they're going to hit the road again. So he's taking inventory here. He comes into the man cave on Sunday. He starts going, hey, can I take that? Hey, can I take that? Can I take that? I said, I'm giving you the Airstream to take. And then he wants, like Cabela's, we have this partnership. And they got tents and the coolers and everything you need. So he's going to hit the road there. And I'm really envious because you're going to go to these, national parks, but pulling into the community when you go camping, that whole feeling, there is a communal feel. It smells great. Campfires, you're cooking your food. It's pretty cool. And I'd like to do it again. I actually wanted to ship my RV, the Airstream, out to like Oregon and then drive down the Pacific Coast Highway and just camp along the way. But I got this job. It gets in the way of everything. One of these days, I'll do it. Yeah, Paul.
When I graduated college, I had a job waiting for me, but it didn't start until August. So a buddy of mine took his dad's car, and we drove out west. We decided we're going to drive out to like Arizona, New Mexico, up the Pacific Coast Highway, then back, and cut through Idaho and Wyoming, all these places. We get in the car. We're all packed up. We got sleeping bags, the big tent bag that his dad had, got everything. We get to we drive all the way down to Oklahoma. And we get out, we're ready to put the tent out. We're all ready to go, camping out, 2 bros, 6-pack of beer, 22 years old. We had the tent bag, the stakes, the poles for the tent, the tarp you lay down on the bottom of the tent, but the tent wasn't in the bag. Ooh. Nothing. And, we didn't have any money. We're not going to go buy a tent. So we just slept on top of the sleeping bags, put a sweatshirt under our heads. And, it didn't rain that often. And when it did, we just kind of dealt with it, but no tent.
Sleeping under the stars, Paulie. That's the way we used to do it.
Old school.
Yeah, we didn't need a tent. Don't you inspect the equipment like your parachute when you're jumping out of a plane that you kind of inspect?
Not when you're 22.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah. Good time, though. Like, one of the great places I never even heard of before was, it's called, Page, Arizona. It's in, northern Arizona. It's this beautiful canyons in this town called Page, Arizona. I never even heard of it before. It's one of the, and everyone knows about the national parks and Grand Canyon, but unbelievable. Page, Arizona, fantastic place.
Yes, Todd.
I don't know if I could hack something like that. Not that I need to stay at some 5-star fancy resort, but I don't think I'm built for that.
I don't think you
outdoor
are either.
living kind of thing.
I don't.
Cooking things and
well, you don't cook things.
Bathroom situations and animals and creatures.
You go to the bathroom wherever there's ground. You sleep in a tent and then you cook whatever in a little cooler.
Yeah, you're not going out and killing something and then cooking.
No,
it.
but still,
Just letting
they
you
hear
know.
foreign noises and I'm itching and I'm feeling dirty.
I loved it, and I never thought that I would love going camping with the family, but pulling into those little camping areas. and great people in there too. You know, because everybody has the same goal in mind. Like, you know, you're there for a day or two and then you're gone. And I think they call it the 2-2-2, that you drive 200 miles, you stay for at least 2 days, and there's another 2 involved there as well. But there was like a philosophy there, a camping philosophy. Yeah, Paul.
And the other way, if you've ever been to Europe and done backpacking or like the trains, the URail passes, it's pretty easy living too, because even if you're not camping out, the trains in Europe are great to travel.
When my kids, some of them went, they had a season abroad or a year abroad, and you would get those rail passes, and it was, unbelievable bargain. You know, they'd be like weekends. Hey, we're going to, Helsinki. Hey, we're going to, and they'd be all over with just a rail pass there. So I never got that. I missed that, but I'm envious with my son hitting the road. I saw this updated Patriots odds, how Cam Newton signing is affecting New England's Super Bowl chances. This according to the Action Network. 25-1 odds before Cam came to town, 20-1 odds now of winning the Super Bowl. So in case you're wondering, 20-1 means $1 bet would return $20 if you're taking them. There are 4 teams. They're NFC teams. The Niners 9-1, Buccaneers 10-1, Saints 11-1, Cowboys 17-1 in front of New England. Eagles and Seahawks are the same, about the same at 20-1. The Patriots in a 3-way tie for the 7th most likely Super Bowl winners. Just winning the division, they went from 12-1 to 10-1. They're the 3rd best threat in the AFC, behind the Chiefs and the Ravens. They're barely in front of the Colts, Bills, and Steelers. But Cam has upgraded the Patriots here. But, now I think they're the favorite in the AFC with some of these betting sites, past Buffalo. I wouldn't quite do that yet. Now, I want to see if Josh Allen can continue to do this. But as it is now, I'd still look at Buffalo as the team to beat in the AFC East. KC in California. Hey, Case, what do you have for me?
Yo, what's crack-a-lacking, guys?
Hey, Case.
Yeah, that's good, driving up the coast camping. We've driven up. I've done that going all the way up to Washington. Whatever, that's good stuff. Never did get a chance to do it, the backpacking in Europe, though. Look, I'll call my shot right now. Did you guys watch Tom Brady at the end of last year, how pedestrian he was? Dude's barely throwing the ball 20 yards downfield. I mean, he was getting lit up. I'm calling it Cam Newton will have a better year than Tom Brady. I'm not drinking the Tom Brady Kool-Aid.
Okay, wait, Case, what do you mean by better year? More the team or stats?
Both.
Wow.
I'm calling both. Cam Newton will put up better numbers. If healthy, you got to, obviously you're going to throw that there. I'm talking about all things equal. They both go out and play 16 games or whatever.
Yeah, but you can't hedge your bet like that, Case. You got to be locked in on Cam Newton. You can't go if he stays healthy. I could say the same thing about Brady. There's no guarantee at his age he's going to stay healthy.
Well, no, I agree. If he stays healthy, okay, so then I'll lock myself in it. Cam Newton will have a better year than Tom Brady.
All right.
Will have a better year than Tom Brady, and the Patriots will have a better year. I mean, so Brady's going to be better with Bruce Arians than he was already with Bill Belichick, or just as good. Somewhere he's been for 20 years, he's just going to go, fine, it's going to be all good. He's going to light it up. He's going to get the ball down the field. I know he has weapons and all that, dude, but if you guys watch him about the last half of last season, really look at him closely, and we know he can't move. I think he might get lit up. I think he might get hurt.
Yes, Seton.
Man, I really want to take that bet.
I would. Brady's got guys at Case. Cam Newton's going to get to New England. He's going to go, oh, my God. Wait. This is who Tom throws to?
I'll beat you one-on-one basketball. I mean, what's the bet? Call it.
I don't know. Do you want to do a shower of shame?
Yeah, we could figure something out. Yeah,
we would do one. We would do one here, Case, and you would do one in California. You would just videotape it.
I could do that, and I'm gonna throw something else at. If I'm right, I want to come on. I want to do a segment. If I'm right,
I'm gonna have to negotiate that with. I'm gonna have to talk to my people who are gonna have to talk to my people. You know what, Case? You call back in February, first week. How's that?
I will call back in February, first week. No problem.
All right. Thank you, Case. That's KC in California there. I mean, Bill Belichick's not an offensive genius here. Now, if you're sold on Josh McDaniel being an offensive genius, then maybe they can devise something for Cam Newton. I know Tom Brady's starting. I don't know if Cam Newton's going to start. I don't know if he does start, how long he's going to start for. And they're a running team. They've morphed into being a running team. I don't know. It might be hard to put up great numbers with that group of wide receivers there. All I know is Brady can
ask Tom Brady.
Yes, Brady can accidentally have a great year just by throwing to those guys. He's going to throw to guys that are open, not I have to throw you open. Hey, Chris Hogan, can you get open? Oh, that's right, you're a possession guy. Edelman. I don't know. I'd be a little nervous if I'm KC in California. Yes, McLovin.
Patriots' schedule is a little brutal. They got at Chiefs in week 4, the Niners, the Ravens, all in the first half of the season. That feels like a lost dog.
I thought, I still think this, if Teddy Bridgewater had gone to Tampa, they were going to be a playoff team. We don't know if the Patriots are going to be a playoff team. Like, people have doubts about the Patriots just being a playoff team. Playoffs. Tampa, now, I the hype train is full, and I get nervous about that, but at least you have an offensive-minded head coach who loves to throw the ball downfield. You got receivers who can actually get open. The question will be, how good is the offensive line? Because in New England, they had an ability to somehow piece things together and keep Tom upright. Tampa's got to do that. That'll be the biggest concern. The defense, I thought, was a very good defense the last 6-7 games of the season. And you got some offensive weapons. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
To be fair, it's not like Cam is just leaving this like plethora of wide receivers that he's been throwing to the whole time. He's been able to do a lot with pretty much nothing over the years.
Never forget the Kelvin Benjamin era.
Well, he did have Steve Smith, and Steve Smith made him great. He had Greg Olsen, who's a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame tight end. I mean, he did have Devin Funchess. Yeah, well, then maybe he's going to go, wow, this is great. This feels like home.
Yeah, they're like, oh, good. I'm used to not throwing to anybody.
Yeah, I got receivers who can't get open. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Hey, N'Keal Harry.
Oh, N'Keal Harry. Yes, McLovin.
Yeah, and as Cam's receivers got worse, his numbers struggled too. Like,
Yep. That's when you start to run a little more.
Yeah, when Steve Smith retired, I think you could put it before and after. It was hard for him too.
But that's where you start to run. Guys aren't open. I'm going to take off. Yeah, Paul.
Patriots' second game of the season at the Seahawks, national TV, NBC. Dun, dun, dun.
I like that.
If there are the first 4 games.
That's true. It's spicy. I like that.
Fourth game of the Patriots season, national TV, Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead.
That's good too.
Saucy.
Yeah. No, I think it's fun having Cam. Cam made the Patriots cool. Is that possible?
Yep.
Right? The Patriots were never cool. They were just a dynasty. Cam makes them a little bit cool.
Like, even Pat the Patriot, all of a sudden, you're like, yeah, that guy's pretty cool.
No, but Pat the Patriot, I think, loses his jersey number.
Yeah.
Because he wears number 1.
He does.
So is Pat the Patriot going to have to is Cam going to have to negotiate with Pat the Patriot, their mascot, to get the number 1 there? What could you give Pat the Patriot?
Like a kerchief?
I don't know what you give.
Some type of bonnet?
Yeah.
And then what value is it? Modern day or 1776?
Yes, Todd.
I love the kerchief line by Paulie.
Thank you.
Pete in Richmond. Hey, Pete. How are you?
Hey, is this me?
Hey, Pete.
Oh, hey, what's happening? What's happening? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, busy at work, everything like that. Yeah, bet on Wheel of Fortune. What was that guy's name? Case, whatever his name was.
Casey.
That guy doesn't have a clue.
And it's Wheel of
Casey.
Punishment, not Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. Wheel of Punishment, whatever it is.
Pete's off to a good
Wheel of
start.
Fortune because-
All right. Thank you, Pete.
Just busy at work, all that jazz.
Yeah. Paul.
I was watching Wheel of Fortune the other day. I haven't watched in quite a while. You know, Vanna doesn't spin the things anymore. It's digital.
She didn't turn the letters.
She just kind of waves her hand amongst the board, and then it goes ding, ding, and then they pop up. So and I don't even think she's making it's not even like a touch screen.
Well, what did she do?
She's still
presenter?
the presenter.
Oh,
and she
okay.
still does the same fine work.
Because I was never up for Wheel of Fortune, but I thought if I took over, I was going to have two people there, one for vowels and one for consonants. Like two people get to spin.
Would they duke it out over Y?
Ooh, sometimes Y.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get that far, but I never got offered that job. All the other game shows that I got offered, Wheel of Fortune never came up. Yes, Todd.
Do you really need to lighten the workload? I don't want to take away from all the efforts that Vanna White has put in over the years, but to go from turning it to touching it to not having anything to do with it, just standing next to it.
Wait, what have you done in the last 3 hours?
I've been just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, you're just sitting there.
And she's far better looking than I am just sitting there, so at least point for her.
Yeah, and she's a great presenter. But Pat does a great job with that show. There's certain people where you go, I wouldn't be better than that person. Pat's one of those guys. Alex Trebek, I would never want to follow Alex Trebek. No. That's like following John Wooden. Yeah, Paul.
The one thing about Pat Sajak, he doesn't hammer anybody when they make a really bad mistake. He always goes, "Oh, sorry." But then, if someone gets something really simple, this team is in Big D, and their former coach is Tom Landry, and then all three people they just go over. Alex will let them have it.
Yeah,
He'll be
Alex.
like, the Cowboys, anyone?
Yeah. Alex will light you up a little bit there.
He gets very sensitive about missing easy sports questions or what he deems as they'll say things like Edgar Allan Poe or what is the Tigris-Euphrates River, and then they ask a question about you make it into the end zone is called this. We're looking for a touchdown. Anybody? Touchdown. You guys never heard of that touchdown?
Thank you, Todd. Thank you. I'm looking at in Cam's last 4 healthy seasons, Panthers did not have a 1,000-yard wide receiver. They did not have a wide receiver make as many as 65 catches in a season in those years. Stat of the day, stat of the day,
Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what stat of the day.
Top 19 after the hour, the unofficial mayor of Flavortown. Or maybe he's now the official mayor of Flavortown. Guy Fieri will join us on the program. That's right after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Had the Traeger fired up over the weekend. I told you about the tomahawk steaks. And all I did, I just set the temperature. So I went, actually, Will Ferrell reached out yesterday after the show, and he said, okay, explain to me how you cook the tomahawk steaks on the Traeger. And I went 225, 45 minutes. And then I went up to 450 for 7 to 10 minutes to get the sear on it. So Will wanted to know exactly how I cooked the tomahawk steaks. And I didn't know that they would turn out this good. As my son said, it's hard to really screw up the Traeger, Dad. Because I was taking a victory lap, and he's right. You got Wi-Fi technology, so I'm in the kitchen having a beer, and I could check on the temperature. And you got the Traeger app. It's got everything you need. You're going to love the grill. It basically does the work for you. Go ahead and visit your local Traeger dealer. Visit TraegerGrills.com/DP Show and get ready.
Dan, we figured during the look in here, we could give our alternative NBA logo.
So instead of Jerry West as the logo.
Yeah, what we would do would be in control.
So Will has Your suggestion was great. Will said for April Fool's Day, the NBA should come up with a new logo for one day.
Okay.
So what would your logo be?
My
to
logo
replace
would be
Jerry West?
just someone just setting a solid pick right here. He knows how about covering the important area.
Yeah.
Right? Solid pick. Or maybe it could be screen and roll. So screen.
Like a hologram, like where you tilt it and it moves.
Oh, I like that.
Hit me, but you never get the pass.
Yeah, you're playing with James Harden. You're not going to get
When the guy's pants move, it just goes from back.
So we do the logo hologram. So it's a pick and a roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Paulie?
Just like a crisp bounce pass.
Like a Stockton?
Fingers out, right?
Two hands. Stockton bounce pass.
That's it. That's all I got.
Let's see what he
I'm
got.
a big fan of the jump ball, so I think I'm getting ready for the jump, and then I'm just getting out of the way.
No one. I got to create one. Can you guys guess what this is?
Careful.
Aaron Gordon in the slam dunk contest. Picking the ball off the mascot.
They get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it home.
We had a little momentum going there.
It was,
Seton, how about you?
Mine would be more representative of my basketball career.
Just sitting on the bench. All right.
Or a variation could be the guy checking in. But that's more hopeful. That's at least a guy
That's at
getting
least
in.
all right. You know, maybe it's garbage time, but you're getting in.
Checking in and then they go to commercial timeout. Oh.
Yeah.
But you were playing when Donaghy was officiating. Did you ever think that there was something going on, that a game was fixed, or that he was fixing a game?
I've definitely played a game. I've played one game in which, yes, something smelled very weird about the whole situation. But I didn't think that was the NBA, and in technicals and things like that, I never thought the NBA was purposely out to get me or purposely to make our team lose or purposely stay within the spread. Never felt that way.
But was
except
Donaghy
for one
officiating?
time.
Was Donaghy officiating that game?
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it would be easy to go back and look and see, but I really haven't watched that game out of knowing that I didn't foul, out of knowing that it was offensive fouls on other players, after seeing blood run down Bibby's nose, after other things like that. So, it's human nature for a guy to use their power, and I think that's why you always need someone to hold them accountable. And in basketball games, I remember the game I did that Golden State lost to Minnesota. They took a point away on a charge, and Golden State's at home, and Minnesota takes a charge. It was a terrible call, and I didn't feel like the refs were cheating, but Minnesota needs the same respect as Golden State on this night, and I think that's what I afford, that I look at like the situation of both players. So I really don't care who wins. I didn't win a championship, and if guys aren't going to give me their ring, then hey, all of them, go fight for it yourself. And so I just like keeping the even keel because, Dan, I've been on the team in the Wizards that played against the Bulls. All I wanted was for the refs to treat us fair because Jordan and those guys didn't need any help. And, of course, they didn't need any help, and they beat us. And then I was on teams where we played others, and we had the advantage. And, we just want to make sure that it's fair and you give guys the same respect, whether they shoot 50% from the three-point line or 0% from the free throw line. You don't want guys guessing. And so, but, yeah, I've been definitely in the game like that, and I definitely believe it has happened before. But, no, that's not the culture or the way of the league, and I'm glad that they're staying transparent with fans.
This award-winning program, actually, we haven't won any awards. We've been up for them. We just don't win them. Brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT four-door coupe. Life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you miss any of our interviews this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. Great guest last time he was on. Nice appearance by Guy Fieri. Of course, the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives star. And then I realized that he's something more than that. He is maybe the mayor of Flavortown because his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, wants to maybe rename it Flavortown after native son Guy Fieri, who joins us on the program. Is this a real story, Guy?
I think you probably have better intel on it than I do, but yeah, it's a real story and it's a real campaign put on some guys that I don't know, but they sure are going after it.
Are you, how often are you back in Columbus? Will you go back to support this when we can travel?
Well, I was born in Columbus back in '68. My parents were kind of hippies and took off to California in a squareback Volkswagen and came out to Cali and made candles and sold leather purses and did all that kind of stuff. And so I hadn't been back to Columbus much. Now I have a bunch of cousins all throughout Ohio, up in Cleveland and in the Columbus area. But I just went back recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and went to the actual hospital where I was born. And that was kind of my big reunion, and went to Ohio State game and so forth. But no, I haven't been back many times to specifically Columbus. But I will tell you this, great food town. You've done Cincinnati. Have you done Skyline Chili and Gold Star? Haven't done Skyline. Have been to Skyline, don't get me wrong. Haven't featured it on Triple D. Anywhere I can get Cincinnati chili. I mean, I try to come out here in California and tell people about Cincinnati chili, and they're like, you what? The five way, and spaghetti. It's the bomb. It's something, unfortunately, that hasn't made it, I think, past the Mississippi. But if you do get a chance to try it, you got it.
What about White Castle hamburgers?
Been to White Castle a bunch of times, probably more times than I remember. Again, not something that we find out here as often. A different style of burger, different style of the way they make it, but haven't featured on Triple D, but white style ish, places that are maybe smaller. We're in and out here. This is in and out country.
Well, I was going to say the best fast food restaurant out west is.
You're asking me, or you're telling me? I think
no, I'm not telling you.
All your listeners call you and tell you. I love all the. I just sit here and listen to the pre-show. I just get caught up on everything. Cam Newton, you name it. I don't know. I think that probably one that has the most cult following would be In-N-Out. I remember when I went to college in Las Vegas at UNLV. We would send the pledges. They would have to go drive into California, and that was the pilgrimage to bring back the In-N-Out. But I would say that's probably it. I mean, there's a couple. There's Jim Boy's Tacos over in Sacramento. There's all kinds of funky little spots around.
What'd you go to college for?
Well, I got a business degree, but specializing in hospitality in restaurants. So I graduated the year we won the NCAA, which was a pretty amazing time. Vegas at that time was Vegas, and then this little school, part-time, commuter school, local school. And here we are with Tarkanian and all the guys and rocking it, and it was an amazing time.
And they were such big celebrities. I mean, Tark on the Strip. I mean, and people. I don't know what it cost to sit at those UNLV games, but if you were there courtside, people were shelling out some pretty good coin to sit there.
Well, here was the funny thing about it is UNLV was just starting to emerge really in their basketball program. So it was still inside of the school's program that the fraternities got to go into a lottery. And sometimes your fraternity would just draw the tickets and get to sit courtside for like a major game. I mean, like a major game. And I remember sitting there. There was an exhibition game with Russia. And we sat on what people would call Gucci Row. And there I am sitting with a bunch of fraternity brothers. I'm like sophomore in college, and I'm having the best time of my life. But the players were amazing. The school was still small enough that you got to interact and see these guys all the time. And they were huge. I mean, Larry Johnson could have played any sport at any position he wanted. He was so big, but nice guys.
The Raiders in Vegas, are you comfortable? I mean, that sounds like it's a better location for people, destination. What kind of football town do you think Vegas is going to be for your Raiders?
Well, leaving Oakland, of course, is difficult. It was a big transition that happened to LA, and then finally to come back. And, I know from a lot of my buddies that play ball that they didn't want to go. No one wanted to play in Oakland. I mean, the stadium's still sharing it with baseball. So difficult. And I hate to see him leave. But I will say, I'm probably going to get some flack from my true Oakland Raider buddies. I think it's probably the best choice. I couldn't see them going to another city. I don't want them to go into a city that's already had a team and that have their bunch of discussion. And Vegas is a great destination. Here's what people are going to get. You can go see your favorite team play my favorite team, in the city of hospitality with great rooms, great entertainment, a lot to do. So you can make a whole weekend or a whole week out of it. I think the stadium's amazing. I think the Raiders are getting what the Raiders deserve. And I think Vegas will support. Vegas is different now than it was when I went to college there in the 90s. Now this is really a major city with a lot of fans. And I think they've shown good support for hockey. I think they're really going to get behind the Raiders.
He's Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and apparently the next mayor of Flavortown in Ohio. So we're signing off on this. If elected, you will serve.
I don't think it's actually. I think this is getting a little cart before the horse.
Okay.
I think what the petition is, and I think it's around 120,000 signatures. And I don't know all the details. I'm not behind this. I'm not the one instigating this, I should say. Am I flattered? Yes. Do I think that there's a lot going on and a lot of decisions that need to be made before this happening? But yes, if anything like this ever were to really come about, of course I would be there. And, it's probably a visit is due. But we do have to talk about at some point, DPS. We got to talk about you and your backyard grilling. I heard you talking about pellet grills, and we have a whole segment of a show that we need to get into. Maybe a little cooking hour with you.
Okay, but I'm curious, when you go to a backyard, a barbecue, if you see somebody doing something wrong, if you go there, are you automatically brought in from the bullpen that you have to help cook?
Well, I don't know, when you go somewhere, when your wife gives you the arm grab with the just shut up and be quiet and sit down. So I get that every once, especially if it's the first time we've met somebody. But usually after we break that ice, I'm usually brought in or I jump in. But you know what? We've just changed. This pandemic that we've been in has really, I think, helped people evolve to the next level of cooking or get back into cooking. So I think people are doing a much better job. But have I seen hot messes going down with 20 people there for a graduation barbecue and had to kind of maybe take a little intervention procedure? Undercover? Yes, I've done that a few times.
What do you not cook on a grill?
Well, it depends on the type of grill. I mean, you got all different types. You got gas grills, you got charcoal grills, you got pellet smokers, you've got there's a variety. I can't really say that there's anything in between the three of those that you wouldn't cook. I mean, veggies cook great, fish cooks great, seafood cooks great. Low and slow is dynamite. I think it's just all in the technique, the type of fuel, the type of grill or smoker that it might be, because any one of them used incorrectly can just deliver you a hot mess. But I think that it is probably what all guys associate themselves with. Like, I'm an outdoor, I'm a griller, and so forth. And I think that these pellet smokers are kind of I think it's the next evolution. I think it's the evolution. I think it's where people are going to go and they're like, wait a second. So it doesn't mean I have to do a 16-hour brisket. I can just throw pork chops on there and they'll really be dynamite. Exactly.
Give me the restaurant that you would go back to of all the ones you've done. So you got one to go back to.
Tell me who your favorite athlete is in the whole world. No, I mean, it's that kind of a question. I just finished out shooting the United States on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We've done it for 14 years, and we just finished with North Dakota, and the final state we'd never hit was South Dakota. And we tried to go there about 10 years ago, but we did some research, and we weren't really finding as many restaurants as we needed. And so we went there and shot, and we just did these amazing shows, and so that covers the 50 states. So I've done 1,400 locations. So I get into this situation where, I mean, it's like picking who's your favorite kid or picking, who's the best, of all sports. And what happens is my mind goes back to where I was recently, or my mind goes back to, one of my, you get a heartfelt thing. I'll tell you a great place. There's a place down in San Diego called Hodad's, and Hodad's is a burger joint down at the beach. And Mike Harden was the guy that owned it. He since passed away, but his kid Shane runs it now. But if you want what I would call a picturesque Triple D experience, that you're really going to kind of get this whole this is what Guy does. That would be a place to check out. That's one of my all-time faves.
Yeah, because I don't know if, the food itself or just the actual experience or that it was just sentimental. I know you bring your boys with you. Like they've grown up in this environment there. So I didn't know if, and didn't you go to Italy with one of your sons? Did you do that as well?
Oh yeah. So Hunter graduated from UNLV recently, actually. But when Hunter graduated high school, when Hunter was about in fourth grade, as I would drive him to school, we would talk about food and talk about music, the father-son stuff. And I said to him, when you graduate from high school, I'm going to take you all through Europe and we're going to learn about where all the food came from. Because remember, all the immigrants came here. So, that was like this ongoing thing. And all of a sudden, this kid's graduating high school. I'm like, I better come up with a trip to Europe. So we went to 7 countries, 14 cities in 30 days. A hot tour all the way, starting in Greece, going through Italy. We did Spain, we did Germany, we did Switzerland, we did France, England, I said Spain. And so he did something. He made paella in Spain. He made croissants in Paris, and on and on and on. So yeah, we took this great tour. And then when he graduated UNLV, that was the big surprise. He just graduated and we were off to Asia. And just about when that was happening, it was no mas.
Oh.
We didn't get to go. So one of these days we'll make it there for this big Asian food tour, but not soon.
Yeah, you got to let me know, hopefully, when you get back on the road. We'd love to stop in when you're filming something in the New York area. It'd be great.
Well, you know what would even be better is why don't you pick out your 3 favorite joints that you dig, and why don't we come do why don't we just do a piece on your plate? Bring all the crew down and get the family involved, and we'll make a whole visit, a little pilgrimage around 3 or 4 towns in your area. You were just saying something about the story. First and foremost, the food's got to be, I don't care if it's just a slice of pizza. If that's what they're known for, then let's do it. But it's got to be really good food. They got to really treat the food correctly. You can't be doing the frozen crust and just because we all love it. I have friends tell me these places all the time, and I'm like, hey, did you know that place is actually frozen meat? Like, we don't care. We've been going there since we were kids. But it's got to be good food. It's got to be properly prepared, and it's got to have a story. They got to have something that when I share this with the world and say, here you go, people are gonna be able to resonate with it. But you tell me when, man, that'd be a great trip.
But I wonder, can I read into how you're taking a bite out of some? Because you have a producer, Neil, who I text occasionally to say, hey, I'm watching, and there's no way he'd like that. There's no way.
And by the way, Neil, it's the funniest thing with Neil. Neil's like, hey, do you and Dan talk? I'm like, yeah, I text, and we go back and forth. He goes, well, for some reason, he texts me to find you. I said, I think he's just doing the proper channels of trying to keep everybody aligned because he knows that, me answering the phone's like him answering the phone. Neil's a great guy. Neil's been with us forever. Neil started as a PA, and Neil is probably one of the best producers I've ever had a chance to work with.
You're stalling guy.
No.
Do you have a poker face?
Here's the truth of it.
Okay.
There's the difference between love, and OMG, you gotta be kidding me. But the one thing you won't see is if I don't like it, if it's not something I wouldn't eat, if it's something I wouldn't finish, you won't see it on the show. And that hasn't happened in years because we have such a great vetting process now. By the time I get, I'll get 20 locations that we have just a basic idea of what's going on. I'll pick out of that. Then we'll start to do our research. But by the time I get it, I know what flavor gum they're chewing.
How many miles does the Camaro have on it?
Oh, maybe 6. Doesn't have any. Actually, that's my car. We got that car, built that car. It's got it's basically like a 2015 Chevy with a really cool body on it because we went through everything, engine, tranny, you name it. But and we were driving it. But now we're in the situation, we have a full-time team, this great guy named Todd, and Todd drives the truck and the trailer back and forth across the country. How many miles does that truck have on it? About 350,000. How many miles does the Camaro have? Maybe 1,000.
This is how invested I am with diners, drive-ins, and dives. I reached out to Neil and I said, look, I got a real problem here. At the end of each episode, I want you to come back and tell me what restaurant you were at. Because if I don't get it at the beginning, I don't know it at the end. And then Neil goes, okay, I'll make sure I tell Guy. And then one night I'm watching on a Friday, and all of a sudden it came up at the very end. And I'm like, I'm by myself in the basement. I went, yeah. And nobody, my wife goes, what? I go, no, never mind. You wouldn't get it. But I was so proud that you tell us where you were at the end of the episode.
Well, you know what? And I'll tell you, and I thank you for watching. And we've known each other for years. And it's, the thing that the show does is it really is, it's like winning the restaurant lottery for a lot of these restaurants. It's the amount of advertising that they could never comprehend of ever having, and advertising on such a massive platform, and with the reruns. And then sometimes we do a Triple D Nation, which is a revisit of them. I mean, there's just so many different ways that we try to promote these mom and pop restaurants. And that's really what the whole genesis of this was for me as a chef, having my own restaurants, is I know how difficult it was. But there's a great app, and I don't have any part of the app, but the folks that do the app are really cool, and they are pretty on point. And it's called Flavortown. Granted, Flavortown trademark and all that is mine, but that's fine because they're doing such a good job. And if you can get it on your phone, so it says to you, nearest Triple D joints to where you are, or by state, or by city name. And you go on there, and it'll give you the full rundown of the area, the website, the blah, 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 blah. So and I think it's still free, but definitely a worthy app to check out. Or then, Dan, you can also just call me or call me.
I gave out your number to everybody, too.
I hope so. Run it as the lower third if you could, scrolling across the bottom. Make my address on there.
You know what I did one time, Guy? I gave out my home number, and I was giving out the number for the show for people to call in. I gave out my home number. And I went, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, people realized, wait, what number did you give out? And all of a sudden, my wife's getting phone calls. She's going, people want to talk to you. They're calling the house. I said, oh, my bad. So
well done.
Yeah. So you're going to get a lot of phone calls, and that's good because you're a man of the people. You're the mayor of Flavortown.
Well, I tell you, when it gets happening, I hope you'll be there for the celebration.
Oh, I will be. I'm from Cincinnati, so absolutely.
Oh, that's why you had all the Skyline chili. Do you make chili? Do you make Cincinnati chili at home?
No, I get it. I get the frozen stuff sent in.
Oh, you got to send me a link to that then, because we make it here. I'll put it together for my friends.
Yeah.
And chili because the chili typically for most people on the West Coast, chili has beans in it and so forth. Texas doesn't have beans, but the Cincinnati chili doesn't have beans. You get beans. For anybody who doesn't know what this is, you should really look it up because you order it in different levels of how you want it, with cheese, with onions, with spaghetti. Crazy stuff.
A 5-way. Yes. Guy, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks, guys.
That's Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-Ins, Dives. Take a break. Back after this. I've been working on this show, this particular Rap Jeopardy, for a while. So tell me what you think of it. I don't know.
Here we go.
There could be a lot of money in this. All
Okay.
right? Now, the whole room can play if Ice doesn't know what the lyric is.
Oh, he's going to know.
He may not. The first Rap Jeopardy clue is clocking much dollars on what is...
that would be the first and the 15th.
That is correct. That is correct, Q. Here's the second Rap Jeopardy clue. It's ironic. I had the brew. She had the chronic. The Lakers beat the...
Supersonics. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
You did not answer that in question form. Seton O'Connor.
Who are the Supersonics?
That is correct.
Oh,
That is
damn.
correct.
I was too cocky.
Yeah, you were. Final Rap Jeopardy clue for Ice Cube. When I'm called off, I gotta sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and... yes, Cube.
Would that be bodies are hauled off?
I'm sorry, Paulie.
Dan, that would be what is bodies are hauled off.
That is
Damn,
correct.
man. I need you look.
Q.
Nobody told me the Jeopardy nobody told me the damn rules of how you play Jeopardy.
It's always in question.
It's
Hold
always
on.
in question. Damn,
Come
man.
on.
I won that, but I lost that. I don't understand that.
What do you think of maybe bringing this to a TV show?
Oh, like I did
Rap
with
Jeopardy.
Hip Hop Squares, huh?
Yeah, what do you think?
Hip Hop Squares.
Hip Hop Squares, Rap Jeopardy.
Hey, let's talk after the show.
All right.
Can we give him one bonus question?
Okay, here we go.
Ice Cube boasts his running deep Jimmy can do this.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Hit that one.
Yes, Eaton.
What is put her butt to sleep?
Okay, there you go.
Put her butt to sleep.
Yeah. What is put her butt to sleep?
What is?
That's fantastic.
But
What is? Got to add the what is to everything.
All right, congratulations to JP and Sioux Falls for figuring out the scoreboard. Let's start with the first number, number 4. The clue was not exactly a fab run in Orlando. Number 4,
Chris Webber drafted on this day.
On this day in 1993, Chris Webber, jersey number 4, first picked by the Magic, then quickly traded to the Warriors. Number 19, the clue is a day of net games. 19, as in 2019, a year ago today, a year of net games, like the basketball team.
No, I got it.
What do you got?
Did they
Big Brooklyn
sign,
free agency date.
They signed Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant from Golden State.
Kyrie
Irving from
Irving.
Boston. And we'll throw in for good measure DeAndre Jordan from the Knicks. All a year ago today. The Nets swoop in and grab all those
Swoop,
guys.
there it is.
So 4, Chris Webber. 19 is the year 2019 for the Nets last year. And booyah. And JP and Sioux Falls, congratulations for figuring
What's
out.
JP win?
He's going to get all kinds
Tell
of
him what he's
DP
won.
Show merchandise, T-shirts, right?
That's money right
Good
there,
stuff.
Todd.
That's nice. And you went back to the gym. Oh! I'll give you that. That was close enough.
And I'm living here in flavor. I forgot to mention this with Guy Fieri. He created the Restaurant Employee Relief Fund to aid restaurant workers left jobless by the pandemic. So far, he's helped raise nearly $24 million. The good stuff there. I was surprised by this number, McLovin. I don't know if you are. We were talking about Cam Newton and what kind of quarterback is he going to be with the Patriots, the run-pass option and how that's the future of the sport. The team that had the most RPOs last season, Kansas City Chiefs. They had 172 run-pass options. Next on the list at 115, Cleveland Browns. Arizona third. The Bears were fourth, followed by the Texans, Eagles, Packers, Panthers, Bills. Those numbers mean anything to you, McLovin?
Well, yeah. So it's like Andy Reid, how they count RPOs is this like sort of Nick Foles, Carson Wentz play. Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, all his guys all run that play.
Yes, Paulie.
I'm going to poo-poo it a little bit because Patrick Mahomes ran the ball 43 times last year. they run the belly option there, but usually Mahomes just drops back with the ball.
Right. So run pass option is not directly correlated to how many times a quarterback runs.
Right,
So
yeah.
a quarterback can drop back and scramble. That's more like Russell Wilson style. That doesn't mean they run a lot of RPOs. So RPO is really, it's also a blocking scheme too, so the guys know what to do. I don't totally
All right.
understand it.
Yeah,
I just Googled it, and so great running quarterbacks never ran the RPO. Like, I don't think Kaepernick, he might have run the RPO. But like traditionally, Michael Vick drops back, everybody comes forward, and he runs through them.
Well, I think Kaepernick had design runs.
Yeah, that's not an RPO.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like,
Yeah.
design run is not an RPO.
Because Cam had a lot of design runs in Carolina. This day in sports history, Paul?
I got one. 1970, the Cincinnati Reds moved to their new home, Riverfront Stadium. What was the stadium before that?
Crosley Field.
Was it cool?
Yes. Yes. It was so. I remember being down the first base line, and Rick Wise of the Philadelphia Phillies was warming up, and I could have reached out to touch him. He was that close to the stands, and they had a net in left field. Their home run in left field was a net. They had a little terrace, the stadium, the outfield went up a little bit. Babe Ruth famously fell down in the outfield there, and I think in his final game or final year. But it was a small. It felt intimate. It was pretty cool. And then they moved into the big ashtray, is what we called Riverfront Stadium. You look at it from the top, and it's an ashtray. And then Philadelphia followed suit. And then Pittsburgh followed suit. They just look like ashtrays.
1994, the U.S. Figure Skating Association stripped Tanya Harding of the 94 National Championship and banned her from the organization for life for an attack on rival Nancy Kerrigan.
Hold on a second. Paul wants to talk to you.
She said she had nothing to do with the planning, but she knew about it afterwards and didn't report it. That's what the story is.
So she didn't take part in the planning, but she did know that something was happening?
She's always said that she didn't know the attack was going to happen before it happened. She found out afterwards and
didn't do anything?
Yeah, that's what she said.
That's what she said.
Come on, Dan. Let's keep it positive. Let's talk about a boxing career.
That's still one of those moments when people say, "Oh, which your favorite interview?" I got some least favorite ones.
Hold on a second. Paul wants to talk to you.
Oh man,
You made a skeptical out of her boxing career. You
I
did,
did.
whether you want to admit it or not.
when she said, "I'm not here to make us skeptical of my boxing career," I think you just did. Oh man. We're going to talk to Tennessee's head coach Jeremy Pruitt on the show tomorrow.
We are.
I'm not going to make a skeptical out of my boxing career.
You just did. Yeah, I guess they're getting 100,000 fans in there to watch the Vols. Vols have done well this year, recruiting. Todd, what did you learn on today's program?
Unlike Casey in California, UNC and feel Tom Brady and the Bucs will have a more successful season than Cam Newton and New England.
McLevin.
Allegations by Ross Tucker that Dartmouth lets in good football players. Hot scandal.
Wow. They can get into Dartmouth. They can't get into Princeton. Seton O'Connor.
Russ Tucker officially has a massive head.
Yes, he does. Biggest head on this show since Zoom. You can't Zoom. You got to move out a little bit with Ross. Paulie?
Fritzy going to go wire to wire without camping.
What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. You can start online. Network of independent attorneys provide advice when you need it. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. My thanks to all those contributing, those in front of the cameras, behind the cameras, and those watching and listening. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.